Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
A real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? All right, folks, today is Thursday, September 19, 2020. Just streaming live on the Black Star Network. North Carolina's Republican nominee for governor, Mark Robinson. Ooh. Is this the week of hashtag freak off? Mark Robinson denies that he made dozens of disturbing comments and called himself a black Nazi on a porn website. Politico is reporting that his emails associated with that escort website, Ashley Madison. Okay, we got lots to break down. MAGA is full of delusional folks. Trump talked about, he was on Fox News Gutfield show, and he talked about how during the debate, the audience loved him, and they went crazy. I had more people in the studio than they had that debate. There was no audience, y'all. The Justice Department, they're opening a civil rights probe into the Mississippi Sheriff's Office for the torture of two black men. Also, the national chairman of the Teamsters National Black Caucus will be here to discuss the International Brotherhood of Teamsters' decision not to endorse a presidential candidate. But guess what? Teamsters, Wisconsin, Michigan, California, Nevada, Pennsylvania, they riding with Harris. In today's Crockett Chronicles, Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett goes off on one of the creators of Project 2025, and we'll show you another member of Congress who said, I'm sorry, did you actually say Haiti could have been better off had they remained slaves for 30 more years, I done told y'all these white folks are losing their mind. It is time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
Keith Jackson, longtime sports commentator, would always say, "Whoa, Nelly." That's what they're saying in North Carolina. After CNN, they're reporting that the Republican gubernatorial candidate, Mark Robinson, you know, who's lieutenant governor, who's a pastor, who's a hardcore, everybody's a sinner, can't stand abortion, can't stand gays, can't stand trans, all this sort of stuff, made dozens of incendiary comments on a porn message board years ago. Posting under a pseudonym, Robinson called himself a black Nazi who supported the return of slavery in the United States. He repeatedly denounced the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And these discoveries are leading to calls for him to drop out of the gubernatorial race. Now, Robinson took to social media right before CNN dropped their article. Here he is.
Hey guys, Lieutenant Governor Robinson and your Republican nominee for governor as well, of course. Well, guys, the news media is at it again. My opponent is at it again. You all have seen the half-truths and outright lies of Josh Stein on these ads over and over again. And now a story leaked by him to CNN is appearing now. Let me reassure you, the things that you will see in that story, those are not the words of Mark Robinson. You know my words, you know my character, and you know that I have been completely transparent in this race and before. Folks, this race right now, our opponents are desperate to shift the focus here from the substantive issues and focus on what you are concerned with to salacious tabloid trash. We cannot allow that to happen. And folks, we've seen this type of stuff in the past as well. Clarence Thomas famously once said he was the victim of a high-tech lynching. Well, it looks like Mark Robinson is too, by a man who refuses to stand on stage and debate me about the real issues that face you. Instead, they want to focus on salacious tabloid lies. We're not going to let them do that. We are staying in this race. We are in it to win it. And we know that with your help, we will. God bless you. And we will see you where? On the campaign trail.
Not your words, but is it your email? Didn't take the campaign of Vice President Kamala Harris long to put this video out. All right, so, all right, folks, I thought we had that. Hold on, let me find it, because it was delicious. I thought y'all should have a 53-second video right there, y'all. All right, here we go. Let's see, go to my iPad. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up for y'all, because it didn't take them long to drop this, and I absolutely love it. Here we go.
Sooner if possible.
That's right.
I just want to thank everybody, whatever you can do to help Mark and Yolanda win this election. You know, he's got a tough opponent, not a good opponent, but a tough opponent, a political person, and it's not going to be that easy. He's a star, but a lot of times people say, well, this is going to be easy for him, and then they forget to vote. They don't go out to vote. You got to get out and vote, but you got to help him financially, because you're all people that have a lot of money. I know 20 of you, and you're rich as hell. So anything you are going to do, it quadruple it. It doesn't mean it. It's just, you know.
We're going to do this here. That's the actual video of Trump talking. But the Harris people, what they did was they put Robinson's words in on the porn site over this video here. Guys, roll it. Okay, all right, let me do this here. All right, so let me find it because I saw it and I said, "Oh my goodness, this is way too good." But again, you see what happens when you respond real fast. And trust me, the Republicans in North Carolina right now, they are just running backwards, doing all they can to deal with the fallout of this whole deal. First of all, here's one of the videos here. All right, so guys, check this out.
Mark Robinson, he's out there, he's fighting. A very good man.
This is Martin Luther King on steroids. I think you're better than Martin Luther King. I think you are Martin Luther King ×2. I think he's going to go down as one of the great leaders in our country. I've been with him a lot. I've gotten to know him, and he's outstanding. He's outstanding in presentation, but he's probably even more outstanding in heart. Somebody that we have to be very, very careful. We have to cherish. We have to cherish Mark. He's a star. You have to cherish him. Amen. It's like a fine wine, because that's what you have. You have a fine wine. He's an outstanding person. I've gotten to know him so well and fairly quick.
He's a fine person, huh? Okay. Woo, let's go to our panel on this one here. Reese Colbert, host of the Reese Colbert Show on Sirius XM Radio. Now she's what, 2 hours now, Reese? Not 2 hours?
Yes, honey,
Okay.
I've been upgraded 2 hours on Saturday.
Okay, all right then, cool. Dr. Greg Carr, Department Afro-American Studies at Howard University out of D.C., Lauren Victoria Burke, Black Press USA, Arlington, Virginia. Reese?
Yes.
Things getting spicy in North Carolina.
Yes. But you know what? Stay strong, brother. Don't let them push you out. Don't let them high-tech lynch your ass. They knew they signed up for crazy. They knew they signed up for crazy when you were selected as the nominee for lieutenant governor and your ass wasn't qualified. When you won the nomination for the gubernatorial race and your ass wasn't qualified. The only qualifications that Mark Robinson has ever brought to the table is being crazy, deranged, anti-black, self-hating Negro. That's the only reason why he's sitting where he is now. So guess what? North Carolina GOP, Donald Trump, y'all made the bed. He did shit all over it, pissed all over it, and all kind of stuff, but you still got to sleep in it. So stay strong. Stay strong. Don't let them push you out. You earned your spot with your crazy ass. You sat up here, buck danced for them, acted like a buffoon, said all the crazy racist shit. You said you were a black Nazi. That's what they knew they were getting with you from the get. Just because now it's written on paper from a message board, now it's a problem. Nah, don't let them be hypocritical, Mark. You better keep hope alive. You better stay in this race. You better prove to them that you're the right man for the job, like Trump says, that you're a great leader. Stay in there, Mark. Stay in there.
I mean, it is hilarious to me how they are all, again, Republicans are just sitting here. They've been doing damage control all day, Lauren. They've been sitting here doing all sort of stuff. And you know what? I was just thinking, you know what? I think Mark Robinson they got a new campaign song. That's what I think. All right? Audio, just turn it up. Keep the cat right there, but just turn it up. Y'all ready? Come on, Mark. Get your big ass up. Move.
About to pay nobody's way, 'cause it's all about the dog in me.
Oh, come on, Mark.
I want a freak in the morning, a freak in the evening, just like me. I need a roughneck brother that can satisfy.
Yeah, well, to Reese's point, self-hatred is a hell of a drug. They found effectively a male Candace Owens to run for governor of North Carolina. They wanted somebody who was going to say that racism doesn't exist. They wanted somebody to say a bunch of nonsense that any white and random white supremacist might say on the campaign trail, and they found Mark Robinson, who in fact is not qualified. And the Republican Party, for some reason, loves to run people who love to run their mouth, don't really say anything, and are self-hating when it comes to these black candidates. There is the fact that, people like Kari Lake, in Virginia, we had a guy named E.W. Jackson who got crushed by Ralph Northam back in 2013.
Oh, I remember that fool.
Right. He's very, very memorable. Vintage sort of black Republican candidate that the Republican Party loves to pick and loves to put out there. And in this case, it is now blown up in their faces, assuming that what we're seeing is true. Of course, he's denying it. There had been other things that came out that he had sort of not said anything. And I'm not sure why you would be quiet with some of the things that are coming out. But we do have like a round in our politics of.
You mean like him visiting the porn store, like what, multiple times a week? And was that what you're talking about?
Yeah, he didn't really come running out in hard denial like I was thinking he might, right? He didn't he said he sort of denied it, but it wasn't, you would think you'd got to get a strong statement on that. But, we've had a round of, stories in our politics with Katie Hill. In Virginia, we had a candidate for office for House of Delegates, Susanna Gibson, who was on a sex tape, and then that, messed up her election. She barely lost. But we've seen this sort of movie before, and the men definitely, when they're involved in this type of story, they get absolutely no quarter. In this case, though, if these details are correct and accurate, this is something that it's just something that is sort of it's in the instantly disqualifying zone, and I don't know what to say. I mean, the Republicans put this guy up. They knew who he was. He was running his mouth well before this moment arrived. And this is who they wanted to run for office, and it has blown up in their faces. So we'll see what happens next.
I thought this tweet was perfect, Greg. Sorry, North Carolina GOP, you have to carry Robinson to full term. That was again, it's first of all, and then the same Travis Akers, he put out. Give me 1 second. I'm looking on here. He said that the opposition research wasn't put out by Josh Stein's campaign. It was put out by Republicans who want Robinson to drop out because the deadline is 11:59 p.m. to replace him on the ballot.
My God. Well, didn't have to wait till October for an October surprise, and there are more surprises coming. Early voting starts in North Carolina on the 17th of October. October 17th through November the 2nd. So let's bank the vote in North Carolina and run this guy out. But, the assumption that this is damaging would be made in a rational, sane society. This isn't a rational, sane society. It's an idiocracy, and it's deep with racism. I know later you're going to talk to the brother heading the caucus of the Teamsters to talk about this. Neely Fuller said, if you don't understand white supremacy, everything else you think you understand will only confuse you. Now, yes, Mark Robinson is black, but that doesn't mean he's not a tool of white supremacy. And, it reminds me of another October, 33 years ago. It was a Friday night. We were in Columbus, Ohio. I'll never forget, sitting at the African Center for Study and Worship when we watched Clarence Thomas testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee, the 11th of October. It'll be 33 years this coming 11th of October. Joe Biden was chairing the committee. Remember, he was the head of Judiciary. And he asked Clarence Thomas if he had anything else to say, and that's when Clarence Thomas said that this is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves, do for themselves. Well, that's going to be Mark Robinson's line. It's not the freakiness. That might even get him a few more votes, after all. The black Nazi is off-putting to black people, but not to white supremacists. That would make him even more appealing to them. But when you think about the fact, I mean, can you imagine 33 years ago when a 35-year-old Anita Hill was sitting in front of Joe Biden and all those racists on the Republican side and saying that this man over here, this judge you want to put on the Supreme Court, he been asking me to go out time after time, wouldn't take no for an answer. He talks about his sex life in detail, talks about the pornos he watches with women with big breasts and women having sex with animals and group sex and rape scenes. All this was what Anita Hill said to the Senate Judiciary Committee, and millions of people, including all of us gathered on east side of Columbus watching this live, we're sitting there with our mouths open, and then Clarence Thomas comes after and said this was a high-tech lynching. Mark Robinson sounds stupid to rational people, but we're not living in a rational society. Don't count anybody out. Early voting starts in North Carolina on the 17th of October. We got to put this guy in the political grave, and don't get distracted, because while we laughing and kikiing, they run around, because if it was people who love pornography in North Carolina to support Mark Robinson, he might win in a landslide. We need to be real careful right now.
Well, now I mentioned about Ashley Madison. So somebody who works with his campaign confirmed that is indeed his email. Politico reported this story. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull it up. It says email address belonging to Mark Robinson found on Ashley Madison. And it says, of course, Ashley Madison is the website designed for married people seeking affairs. An advisor to Robinson, granted anonymity to speak freely, confirmed to Politico that the email address in question belongs to Robinson. A spokesperson for Robinson said he had not made an account on Ashley Robinson. And what the CNN story laid out is that he used the same email on multiple sites, multiple places on the internet. So, you're sitting here going, all right, but did that your email? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I don't know that this revelation is not going to necessarily convert racist Republicans. They don't give a damn about him being a black Nazi. That's a feature, not a bug. Like I said, this is part of what they signed up for when they got him. But I don't know if the trans stuff flies as much. If this were just strictly him being racist towards black people, I would be like, okay, well, they know he racist, whatever. But he talked a lot about trans porn and enjoying trans action, and
apparently called himself a perv.
He called himself a perv.
That was one thing. Let's see, and then also talked about right here. Let me see right here. Let me pull this up. Pulling their story up. It says, probably under the username Mini SODR on Nude Africa, Robinson graphically described his own sexual arousal as an adult from the memory of secretly peeping on women in public gym showers as a 14-year-old. He recounted the story as a memory he said he still fantasized about. It says, I came to a spot that was a dead end but had two big vent covers over it. It just so happened it overlooked the showers. I sat there for about an hour and watched as several girls came in the shower. I think it was at North Carolina A&T, I think. CNN is not publishing the graphic sexual details of Robinson's story. I went peeping again the next morning. But after that, I went back. The ladder was locked. He also discussed his affinity for transgender pornography. I like watching tranny on girl porn. That's effing hot. It takes the man out while leaving the man in. And yeah, I'm a perv too. He denied the words. You see right here, CNN first reached out to Robinson Tuesday morning with evidence connecting him to the comments on Nude Africa. It took his campaign 2 days to respond and issue a denial. He called it tabloid trash, steered by Democrat Josh Stein, but again said he's not dropping out of the race.
And you shouldn't drop out the race. That's right. You should let the voters decide whether this is a bridge too far. But I think that we have seen in recent election cycles where Republicans have said this is a bridge too motherfucking far. That's why Herschel Walker ass lost, even though Brian Kemp got millions more votes than Herschel Walker received in the 2022. So I do think that there is a limit to how far people are willing to support a batshit crazy ass degenerate black man who has no business being the nominee and certainly has no business winning an election when he is espousing perverted stuff. His words, perv. So I mean, I'm laughing and kicking because I really do think that it's so funny when the chickens come home to roost, and it's so funny when all the shit that was a feature is coming back to bite you in the ass, and now y'all having buyer's remorse when you could have picked another just regular crazy Republican. This is very fitting to me, but I think that the other thing it does is it's also not about converting Republicans, but it's about galvanizing Black people. The difference between Obama winning North Carolina and Hillary Clinton losing it and Joe Biden losing it is the Black vote being galvanized. And Black people don't like to be embarrassed. Black people don't want somebody like Mark Robinson being the national face of their state. And so I think that this further confirms to anybody who had any doubts about who Mark Robinson is, that he is unfit, and you for damn sure don't want to be represented by him in the state. So that brings out more people, and then VP gets to ride that wave. I'm here for it. So stay in, Mark. Go ahead and you show him that you still the right man for the job.
Of course, he supports a so-called heartbeat bill that will ban abortion when a heartbeat is detected. But according to, again, the CNN report, Lauren, Robinson said he didn't care about a celebrity having an abortion. I don't care. I just want to see the sex tape. In another thread, he said commentators considered whether to believe the story of a woman who said she was raped by her taxi driver while intoxicated. In response, Robinson wrote, "And the moral of this story, don't F a white bitch." Oh, that may not play well. That may not play well in North Carolina.
He gonna lose on that.
The problem just globally with guys like this is that, you know, this entire time with him in the public eye is been a reveal on his personality, which is that he's a self-righteous ass. He's a self-righteous, always wanting to comment on other people's lives, always wanting to judge other people in various ways. That is why this is on complete blow-up. It's that, as I said, that Candace Owens always wanting to comment on everything and be sitting in judgment of everybody else's life. And whether that be connected to policy or not, right, it is amazing, the hypocrisy, right? You can run your mouth reckless about what everybody else is doing. And, you know, we got J.D. Vance is the other one who can't shut up about people's personal lives and wants to comment on everything. And then this is the party, the Republican Party, that gives us this type of candidate whose own personal life is apparently not in order. Again, if all of these things are accurate. So he has no business sitting in judgment of anybody else. And yet here he is, not only just sitting in judgment, but running for office, asking other people to put him in a high position of authority and make decisions that are going to impact other people's lives. And so I have no idea, like, why the Republican Party insists on bringing forth these types of individuals, but they keep doing it. And, of course, with Black Republicans, you have the added bonus of the self-hatred factor, the always wanting to deny the issues and concerns of Black people, always wanting to wave away slavery, always wanting to deny the history of this country over 400 years. All of that comes with the package. But incredible to watch, and this is going to be interesting to see how the Republicans are going to ignore their way out of this one, because he threatens to bring down the ticket and assist the vice president in winning North Carolina, which is a tough state for her to win. But with him in the mix and him in the conversation, it gets easier. And I think all of these Republicans in North Carolina realize that.
Well, and keep in mind, Cal Cunningham, 2 years ago, running for the United States Senate, some signal messages were revealed, and he was leading, and he actually lost in the United States Senate race, and he could have actually won that race. And so that actually happened there. Greg, this is also what CNN said. It says, in the pornographic forums, Robinson revealed his unvarnished thoughts on issues such as race, gender, and abortion. Writing in a forum discussing Black Republicans in October 2010, Robinson stated, unprovoked, "I'm a Black Nazi." That same month, Robinson wrote in another post that he supported the return of slavery. Quote, "Slavery is not bad. Some people need to be slaves. I wish they would bring it back. I would certainly buy a few. In March 2012, Robinson wrote that he preferred the former leader of Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler, over the leadership in Washington during the administration of Barack Obama. Quote, "I'd take Hitler over any of the shit that's in Washington right now." Robinson's comments on Nude Africa often frequently contain derogatory and racial slurs directed at black, Jewish, and Muslim people. He disparaged Martin Luther King Jr., called him a commie bastard, worse than a maggot, a whole effing phony, a huckster that a user in the thread accused him of being in the KKK. Robinson responded by directing a slur at King. And it goes on and on and on, all of the kind of stuff that he had to say about other people.
Well, I think that he doesn't need any humanization to those who feel that way and share those opinions. And like you said, Reese, he's not going to grow his base. He's got to turn them out, which is why turnout is so important for us.
Yep.
But like you said, Lauren, hypocrisy. But hypocrisy is there, but hypocrisy is the Republican brand. I mean, these people vote for Matt Gaetz every 2 years.
Lauren Boebert. That Marjorie Taylor Greene. They voted for Louis Gohmert. You got crazy ass Ronnie Jackson. You got that fool down in Louisiana. What's his name? Higgins. I mean,
and in Arizona, Gosser. Who's
absolutely white supremacists.
And so this is their brand. Now,
Tommy Tuberville.
Exactly.
We could keep going.
Exactly. But as you commented a minute ago when you read the quote, "Don't F a white bitch," that would cause him more problems than all the rest of those things he said. Now, I mean, because he is black, and the fact that he would say, "I would buy a few," means he doesn't count himself in those who will be subjected to chattel slavery, which means he's the worst kind. Doesn't see himself as black, although he was on Nude Africa. But story for another day. The point is this. When you're looking at someone like this, you're looking at what has happened when we do two things in this country. Number one, elevate politicians as paragons of virtue. And number two, doesn't it feel like we've passed a threshold over the last couple of decades, when it comes to the shredding of the illusion that somehow politicians should be paragons of virtue. I don't want to even go back to John Edwards. I don't want to talk about Gary Hart. There was a time, but there is finally, and no shame as far as the Republicans are concerned, but there does seem to be a clear separation between the Democrats on this issue, for which anything, hangnail, two eyelashes out of place, you got to drop out of the race, and Republicans who not only look the other way, but now look into the face of this behavior and embrace it. J.D. Vance is counting on the incel vote. You understand? This whole demonization of black people is their brand. And a black man in North Carolina talking crazy as hell. The only way you spin this is what Donald Trump has been doing since he got his ass whipped last Tuesday night, which is let me lean into it and make this stuff so absurd that we're not trying to run from it, which is why I think Marjorie Taylor Greene today acting like she's going to condemn this is hilarious, because all you got to do is look at her once and understand you better thank God that ain't nobody going through your emails.
I've long said that if I was a self-hating black man with the Republicans, with my skill set, I'd be halfway to a billionaire.
No question.
They love supporting and lifting up self-hating Negroes. They love that until they cross the line and they decide Candace Owens. Then they're kind of like, yeah, we done with your ass. So that's what they do. All right, y'all, hold tight 1 second. We come back. We got lots to talk about. Ooh, my man, Jasmine Crockett and another DM gave these conservatives hell on Capitol Hill today. We got all of it for you. Okay, we're going to show you that. We're going to talk about the Teamsters, the president. He speaks to the Republican convention. Don't speak to the Democratic convention. Then they announce, hey, we ain't endorsing nobody. Guess what? Other Teamsters said, we down with Harris. We'll have the leader of the Teamsters Black Caucus coming up next on the show. And it's a lot I got to break down, y'all. So y'all gonna love today's show. We'll be right back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Should abortion be punished? There has to be some form of punishment.
Then he showed us.
For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it. And I'm proud to have done it.
Now Donald Trump wants to go further with plans to restrict birth control, ban abortion nationwide, even monitor women's pregnancies. We know who Donald Trump is. He'll take control. We'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
In 2016, Donald Trump said he would choose only the best people to work in his White House. Now those people have a warning for America. Trump is not fit to be president again. Here's his vice president.
Anyone who puts himself over the Constitution should never be president of the United States. It should come as no surprise that I will not be endorsing Donald Trump this year.
His defense secretary.
Do you think Trump can be trusted with the nation's secrets ever again?
No. I mean, it's just irresponsible action that places our service members at risk, places our nation's security at risk.
His national security advisor.
Donald Trump will cause a lot of damage. The only thing he cares about is Donald Trump.
And the nation's highest-ranking military officer.
We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator.
Take it from the people who knew him best. Donald Trump is a danger to our troops and our democracy. We can't let him lead our country again.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
IVF is a miracle for us because it allowed us to have our family. After having my daughter, I wanted more children, but my embryo transfer was canceled 8 days before the procedure. Donald Trump overturning Roe v. Wade stopped us from growing the family that we wanted. I don't want politicians telling me how or when I can have a baby. We need a president that will protect our rights, and that's Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems.
Oh, she had a big crowd. Oh, the crowd.
This weird obsession with crowd sizes. It just goes on and on and on. America's ready for a new chapter. We are ready for a President Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
The overturning of Roe almost killed me. I had a blood clot in my uterus that caused my labor to have to be induced because of the overturn of Roe v. Wade. I wasn't able to get life-saving treatment sooner. I almost died. And that's because of the decision that Donald Trump made.
I was able to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I'm proud to have done it.
The doctors and nurses were afraid that if they treated me in the incorrect way, that they would be prosecuted for that. And that's appalling. Donald Trump says that women should be punished.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion?
There has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah.
I believe that women should have reproductive freedom to make the choices about their own bodies. 4 more years of Donald Trump means that women's rights will continue to be taken away one by one by one by one. This has to stop because women are dying.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Latasha from the A.
And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, black folks are always leading. Remember, we in with black women, then we in with black men the next day, then everybody and their mama start having calls. And in fact, at 8 p.m. Tonight, Oprah is leading a massive virtual voter call. 140 different groups are involved, including Win with Black Men. We're going to be carrying that on the Black Star Network. But the same thing. Now, remember, the Teamsters was playing around, so the Black Caucus was like, yo, we ain't waiting on y'all asses. They came out and endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. Yesterday, the leader of the Teamsters announced that no one candidate got the requisite support. Now, what's interesting about this is that when Joe Biden was a nominee, a majority of the Teamsters that were polled supported the Democratic nominee. Yet when Vice President Kamala Harris became the nominee, it was like 44% supported Biden. Then when she became the nominee, something like 59% supported Trump. So what happened overnight? Teamsters started saying, yo, we good. California announced that they were supporting them. In fact, when you look at what happened, the press releases started dropping left and right. You see that one right there. Then you saw, again, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. You begin to see on and on and on. Nevada, all of these different groups coming out in support. In fact, today, when the vice president, when she landed in Michigan, who was she greeted by? Go to my iPad. Greeted by Teamsters there in Michigan. And so they are making it perfectly clear exactly where they stand in support of Vice President Kamala Harris. Don't forget, she was the one who cast the top-breaking vote where $86 billion was spent to save pensions. That included more than 600,000 Teamsters workers. So what in the world's going on here? Where you have these largely white men, these Teamsters, who are voting against their own economic interests, loving and supporting Donald Trump, and not backing Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Well, the Teamsters National Black Caucus Executive Board, remember, they endorsed Vice President Harris. James Kerbine, the national chairman of the Teamsters National Black Caucus, joins us right now. James, glad to have you here. First of all, of the poll that was taken, how many Teamsters does that represent? So first of all, for the people who don't know, how many Teamsters are there internationally? You're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yep, well, we got you. Go ahead.
All right. I'm sorry. 1.3 million members. The National Executive Board has reported 1.2, then 1.3, and the last number that came out was 1.3 million members throughout the U.S., Canada, and Puerto Rico.
How many participated in this survey, poll, straw poll?
That's a damn good question.
They haven't said?
No. And that's what my question is. The first straw poll vote was taken in our local unions, where we actually had to show up in person, and the polling was done right there on site. And on those polls, Biden was leading. And I have to say, all the numbers are skewed, if you ask me. In my local alone, over 4,000 members here in Nashville, Tennessee, we had less than 100 people that turned out. And it was split. So the true polling numbers is unknown.
So this is what they reported yesterday. This was a straw poll taken before Biden dropped out. And it took place April 9th through July 3rd. And correct. Biden got 44.3%. Trump got 36.3%. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. got 5.6%. Dr. Cornel West got 1.7%. And then then there was an electronic member poll conducted between July 24th and September 15th. Vice President Kamala Harris gets 34%. Donald Trump gets 59.6%. Other candidates get 6.4%. But again, okay, if you got 1.6 million members, how many people voted? Was it 50,000, 100,000, 250,000? I mean, that kind of matters, because let's say if only 10% of the Teamsters actually voted in the poll, that only represents 160,000 people. You've got unions that have been Teamsters groups. Again, Michigan, perfect example. They've endorsed her. They got 245,000 in that state alone.
Correct. And I say this. I asked that question today on the Fox News. They actually say that it was 1.3 million. I told them they was a lie, because I know for a fact all our members did not get their Teamster magazine, because that's where the QR code was at. People did not take the poll because they felt like they went to their local unions and they voted in the straw poll vote in person, so they felt like they did not need to take it again. I've been told several different numbers. I was told that it was 12,000. Then I got an email from someone a little earlier asking me did I know how polling works, because they saw my interview on Fox News. And I actually explained to him, I do know how polling works. It's a sampling, and it's a question of what is the amount of the sampling. And I asked him, did he know how many people voted in the Teamster polls, and what was the criteria, and what was the methods, and what was the questions? He responded to me, he was told 21,000, but I'll be honest with you, I don't know who this Dean Matt is that I got this email from.
And normally when a poll is released, they say 700 people were sampled, 1,000, 2,500, whatever they actually give the number. The Teamsters haven't done that.
No.
Walk us through this, because, look, your international president, he spoke at the Republican National Convention. He praised some Republicans on a particular bill. But what's crazy about all of this is you got a lot of these folk who are literally supporting somebody who is absolutely anti-union. This man faked a group of union folks when the UAW had a strike. He brought in actors. And so, I mean, you got to be asking yourself as a Teamster, I guess to a lot of these white conservative Teamsters, what the hell are y'all doing supporting a guy who does not support you?
Hey, Roland, I'll tell you this. That's why we didn't sit on our hands, brother. That's why we came out first out the gate. And I have to say, it's not just only the Teamsters National Black Caucus that actually sees a problem, but it's a lot of our white brethren also. Teamsters Local 186, Teamsters Local 623, Teamsters Local 848, Joint Council 28, they all have came out. I got a call from a gentleman last night, a brother out of Ohio that's a Teamster. And he said, you know, it may be a little strange that you're getting this phone call. I just want to let you know that I'm a white Teamster. And he bust out laughing, I laughed too. But he said, I respect you and what your organization is doing, and I want to make sure that you know that all Teamsters are not in agreement with what's going on, and we're embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. He said he had actually communicated with his local and also the international that he's embarrassed. And I told him to join the club, because I know Donald Trump don't mean us no good. When Donald Trump laughed with Elon Musk about him firing striking workers, that told us something.
Right. Absolutely.
We already knew who he was. We already knew what he was about. But he just echoed it. And when he actually came back a couple of days later and said that Sean O'Brien is a great guy, he understands. I don't think he does. You know, he actually needs to be checked, because Donald Trump doesn't mean us no good. And we got to tell him he means us no good. And that's what Teamster local unions and joint councils are doing right now, telling him you're doing us no good. Executive board members, Local 230 Greg Floyd, 25,000 members endorsed yesterday. Joint Council 42 and 7 endorsed. And all these guys are on the International Executive Board. Chris Griswold, Peter Finn, Tom Erickson, Dan Kane Jr., they all are on the International Executive Board, and they endorsed in their locals and in their joint council. But our International Executive Board didn't. Well, you know, I hope it doesn't hurt us in the future.
Well, check this out. A list of local Teamsters organizations endorsing Vice President Harris. Teamster retirees, the National Black Caucus, Joint Council 43 out of Michigan, Council 39 of Wisconsin, Southern Nevada, Northern Nevada, Western Pennsylvania, and Northern West Virginia, Washington State, Alaska, Northern Idaho, Minnesota, Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Missouri, Philadelphia, Boston, Ventura, California, Carson, California, Miami, Florida, Long Beach, California, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, New York City, Southern California, Kentucky and Indiana, New York. That's a lot of folks in blue states, but also red states.
And I tell you, you got a couple that also then came out. Another one in Philadelphia, Local 502, my sister Robin Cooper. Also my sister in Chicago, Illinois, Local 743, Deborah Simmons Peterson. And, you know, you're going to see more and more that come out. you'll be seeing more joint councils, more local unions in the days to come.
What's crazy to me is without President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, the pensions of half of all Teamsters were in jeopardy. I would think if you got a poll and you saying, yo, I'm riding with the person who saved our ass.
Hey, putting money in my pocket.
And as President Biden said, not one Republican voted in support of saving those pensions. Not one.
And Kamala Harris cast the ballot that made it pass. We need to be bowing down and praising that sister and making sure we carrying her water to the end. And I tell you this, I'm 49. She saved my pension in Central States. And I'm going to be on doors and I'm going to be on the ground making sure that I beat her drum to the end.
Absolutely. James, we appreciate it, my brother. Keep us abreast of other locals that stand up in support of Harris Walls. We appreciate it. And again, first of all, and again, congrats to y'all because y'all didn't wait for this vote. Y'all came out before this vote was even finalized.
Yes, sir. We knew we couldn't wait.
All right. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Here's the thing here, Lauren, and notice the trend. It was the Congressional Black Caucus, except for one, Texas Congressman Mark Vesey, who broke ranks. But it was the Congressional Black Caucus that held the line, that stopped that nonsensical open convention crap. It was sisters in the DNC that were working before Biden even dropped out. Then when he drops out, Win with Black Women and their cause, some 40+ thousand black women. The next day, Win with Black Men, 55,000 on that call. Look at the Black Caucus of the Teamsters. Time after time, it's black folks leading and other folks following.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, of course, is reflected at the ballot box and will be reflected as early voting starts as well, which is why the vendor question has to be dealt with, because, I mean, if black people are the ones that are number one and number two supporting the party, black women followed by black men, then one would think that there would be a vendor, there would be a support system with regard to the vendors that the party uses, which we really don't see right now. At any rate, the Teamsters question is it's about race. There's no question it's about race. That's the only reason that this could happen. It has nothing to do with policy. Sean O'Brien cannot articulate any logical reason as to why all of a sudden the union is confused about who they're endorsing. After 350,000 member pensions were saved by Joe Biden. I mean, there's just no way.
Right.
Into the billions of dollars. And whatever conversation they had, I would love to have been a fly on the wall for this interview that they had with the vice president and, of course, President Trump, because President Trump can't articulate any policy in support of unions.
Nope.
And the vice president can. So what the hell were they talking about in there? The reason is they do not want to support a black female candidate. That's the reason. They don't want to support Vice President Harris for president.
Yep.
And the idea that they could do this in front of everybody's face when those pensions were saved, not to mention a bunch of other policy, the PRO Act and a bunch of other stuff, is outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. And every Democrat in the country that says they're pro-union should have blown up the Teamsters online on their social media the minute we found out yesterday that's what happened, because that makes absolutely no sense.
Reese, I just saw this video here. I actually love it. It's called Teamsters Against Trump. Listen to this.
I'm a Teamster.
I'm a Teamster. I'm a Teamster, and I'm voting against Donald Trump.
I'm a Teamster, voting for him.
Teamsters have a proud tradition of challenging authority, of standing up to the bosses.
The most votes ever for a contract for Teamsters at UPS.
Of fighting for what's rightfully ours. We know the difference between someone who will fight for us and someone who just pretends to on TV. This fall, we're going to the polls, and we're proudly voting for Harris.
Because she cast the deciding vote to save our pensions.
Without pension, we don't have any retirement.
That's our life savings, and he could care less about it.
As a Teamster, I am voting against Donald Trump.
Because he tried to gut the NLRB.
when he had his interview with Elon Musk. And what did they both say?
Go on strike and you say, that's okay, you're all gone.
They'd rather fire us all than pay us what we're worth.
I'm a Teamster, and I'm voting against Donald Trump.
Because he's a scab.
He crosses picket lines, and he's a scab.
Because he's a scab.
This November, we're coming together in every corner of the country, in every industry. And we're sending a message to Donald Trump. We will do anything to stop a union buster from getting back in the White House.
Can't back anyone that wouldn't support the working man.
And we're prepared to fight for it.
I am a Teamster.
I am a Teamster.
I am a Teamster.
I've been a Teamster all my life, and I'm voting for Kamala Harris. This is the most crucial.
Reese, I love that.
Yeah, because, I mean, at the end of the day, if you hate immigrants or you hate trans people or whatever, that's all that Donald Trump has to offer. But if you care about putting food on your table, if you care about retiring with dignity with the pension that you've earned through your work as a union worker, then you only got one choice in this election. And so I think if institutions and if organizations at the top, if they don't want to be the ones to lead the way, then the people are going to lead the way. So this really says more about the fear of the Teamsters executive leadership than it does about the support that Vice President Kamala Harris has with union workers. Nobody with any kind of sense would ever think that Donald Trump is more pro-worker, particularly pro-union worker, than Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party. And so I'm glad that they're taking matters into their own hands, and they're showing leadership. If you're not going to lead, we're going to lead.
You know, in 2008, Greg, Richard Trumka, who led the AFL-CIO, talked about publicly confronting racism in their union ranks. And they were very honest by saying, and they literally went to union folks and said, black people have been fighting for us. They have been voting for us, voting with us, standing with us, and we're going to stand with black people. I remember they had this effort where they were calling union homes and they were making their phone banking. And if folks were hedging on the phone, supporting Obama, they sent somebody to their house.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to one canvasser who said they went to the door, the wife answered the phone, answered the door, and the wife goes, hey, honey, somebody's here. Who we voting for? We voting for the nigga. And straight up. And the canvasser was like,
yeah, man.
Okay. And so Trumka and other union leaders, they leaned in. They said, we have to deal with the reality of racism among our ranks, and they confronted it head on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we're still not to a century ago, the Knights of Labor, or before that, actually, the industrial workers of the world, because racism is baked into the American project. But everybody isn't lucky enough to have Elise Sanders, you know, at AFSCME, sort of preceded by the great Bill Lucy, as we know, or the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists and others. But as A. Philip Randolph, as you said before, I mean, when you look at the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters and Chambermaids, when they made him the first black vice president of the AFL, what became AFL-CIO, it was to try to address this. There needs to be more black leadership to do this. Of course, you know, Sean O'Brien is a white nationalist. And that's to be expected. Some of the most racist institutions in the United States of America are the unions, the carpenters, the electricians. We know that. Now, what you've raised with Trumka, though, is critical because of that effort, particularly after World War II. You get a Richard Trumka in part because nearly 50 years before, about 46, 47 years before, Martin Luther King spoke before the AFL-CIO, and he made that point. He said, you know, this isn't just about black people, although it is absolutely about black people. It's about the working class. The resurgence of unions during the Biden administration and in the last few years is direct, as you said, Reese, and of course, as you said, Lauren, a result of those policies that we've seen. Now, when black people are concerned, of course, people in a union household are more likely among black communities to have pensions, to have retirement benefits, of course, to have health care, to be able to, you know, have a higher median income. And all of those things are true. And finally, it comes down to this. this funky settler project has always been at risk. From the beginning, it's beginning in the originary violence of dispossessing the Native Americans. Every so often, we get called to a reckoning. It is very encouraging to see union members, not just, as you say, James Kerbin, and of course we know that the TNBC, as you said to him, endorsed Vice President Harris in early August. It's encouraging to see not just that, but for him to get the phone call that he got, I just want you to know I'm white. For us to see that advertisement, because in this country, the thing that they benefit from, the union, in terms of what the Teamsters did, at least the Teamster leadership, the union they're preserving is the union of whiteness. That is a union that is more important to them than their retirement, more important to them than their wages, more important to them than anything, as David Roddiger wrote. It is the wages of whiteness that are the most important wages for them. But the only hope this country has, really the world, but certainly this country has, is that those people, as James Baldwin has said, who are willing to give up their whiteness to stand with a common humanity, it's the only hope this country has. And what we're seeing with this is a beautiful thing, because it might finally break the back of those people who have relied on the silence of good people, as Dr. King would say, for them to continue to force this foolishness. So break the back of the Teamsters leadership from inside the house. It's a great development.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, folks, in a little more than 30 minutes, we are going to be carrying live this virtual voter rally that Oprah Winfrey is leading. She's in Michigan. She is going to be interviewing Vice President Kamala Harris. Remember, 140 different groups, Women with Black Women, and 140 different groups have been involved in this effort. That was a promotional video. If you look at my social media, I posted this. We all talked about answering the call. And so they are organizing that. I'm about to play in a second a video that Oprah placed on her Instagram channel talking about how this thing is going to go down, what it looks like. So we're going to carry that at 8 p.m. Eastern. And so, folks, let's do this here. Watch this here.
Hours away from 8 p.m. Eastern time, where we're in Michigan and we have 1,000 screens everywhere you see those little heads there, and 400 people in the audience for what we are hoping is going to be one great big giant voter rally. So getting people registered, getting people inspired, getting people fired up to vote on November 5th with Kamala Harris here as our special guest. If you know somebody, tell somebody, come to the voting rally in Michigan on virtual right now. Some live seats, some people live all over the country. Thank you so much. See you at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Just hours away.
It is absolutely going to be fantastic. So, again, we're going to be carrying that. All right, when we come back, y'all, do y'all know how stupid Donald Trump is? Wait till we show you what this fool said on Fox News about how the audience went crazy at the debate here with Vice President Kamala Harris. What audience? Also, man, thing got a little funky on Capitol Hill. Comer tried to bring in these probably 20, 25 people. Jasmine Crockett and the Democrats was like, about to hand you your ass. We gonna show y'all the video. Y'all support the Black Star Network. Now I told y'all, Cash App keep tripping when it comes to this daily transaction limit, this weekly limit, this damn monthly limit. So there are three ways. Pull them all up. Here are the three Cash Apps, okay? Our main Cash App is $RM Unfiltered, okay? That's our main one, all right? But we have a backup, Uncle Roro Martin, BOK Start Network. Those are the three. If you want to contribute, please do so during the show. Everybody who gets during the show, you're going to get a shout out, all right? And we also, of course, have PayPal. PayPal.me/R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland@RolandSMartin.com. Roland@RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And don't forget, you can send your check and money order. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Folks, we'll be right back.
He told us who he was.
Should abortion be punished? There has to be some form of punishment.
Then he showed us.
For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it. And I'm proud to have done it.
Now Donald Trump wants to go further with plans to restrict birth control, ban abortion nationwide, even monitor women's pregnancies. We know who Donald Trump is. He'll take control. We'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
In 2016, Donald Trump said he would choose only the best people to work in his White House. Now those people have a warning for America. Trump is not fit to be president again. Here's his vice president.
Anyone who puts themselves over the Constitution should never be president of the United States. It should come as no surprise that I will not be endorsing Donald Trump this year.
His defense secretary.
Do you think Trump can be trusted with the nation's secrets ever again?
No. I mean, it's just irresponsible action that places our service members at risk, places our nation's security at risk.
His national security advisor.
Donald Trump will cause a lot of damage. The only thing he cares about is Donald Trump.
And the nation's highest-ranking military officer.
We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator.
Take it from the people who knew him best. Donald Trump is a danger to our troops and our democracy. We can't let him lead our country again.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
IVF is a miracle for us because it allowed us to have our family. After having my daughter, I wanted more children, but my embryo transfer was canceled 8 days before the procedure. Donald Trump overturning Roe v. Wade stopped us from growing the family that we wanted. I don't want politicians telling me how or when I can have a baby. We need a president that will protect our rights, and that's Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems.
Oh, she had a big crowd. Oh, the crowd.
This weird obsession with crowd sizes. It just goes on and on and on. America's ready for a new chapter. We are ready for a President Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
The overturning of Roe almost killed me. I had a blood clot in my uterus that caused my labor to have to be induced because of the overturn of Roe v. Wade. I wasn't able to get life-saving treatment sooner. I almost died. And that's because of the decision that Donald Trump made.
I was able to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I'm proud to have done it.
The doctors and nurses were afraid that if they treated me in the incorrect way, that they would be prosecuted for that. And that's appalling. Donald Trump says that women should be punished.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? There has to be some form of punishment. For the woman? Yeah.
I believe that women should have reproductive freedom to make the choices about their own bodies. 4 more years of Donald Trump means that women's rights will continue to be taken away one by one by one by one. This has to stop because women are dying.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Hello, I'm Marissa Mitchell, a news anchor at Fox 5 DC.
Hey, what's up? It's Tammy Roman, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Now, we sat there and watched all these punk-ass media people trash President Biden, say he had dementia, Alzheimer's, he keeps forgetting stuff. He got trashed for all this year, got run out of the race. You want to see a dumbass?
They attacked the bloodbath. That was referring to the auto industry. Right. You know all these things.
Yeah.
Charlottesville was totally debunked by everybody, including Laura. Laura did a whole show on it, how it's so ridiculous.
And even Snopes, which is a left-wing
That's right.
site.
They even said.
Yeah.
But all of them, and they didn't correct her once, and they corrected me everything I said practically. And I think 9 times or 11 times. And the audience was absolutely, they went crazy.
Run that back.
They attacked the bloodbath. That was referring to the auto industry.
Right.
You know all these things.
Yeah.
Charlottesville was totally debunked by everybody, including Laura. Laura did a whole show on it, how it's so ridiculous.
And even Snopes, which is a left-wing
That's right.
site.
They even said.
Yeah.
But all of them, and they didn't correct her once, and they corrected me everything I said practically. And I think 9 times or 11 times. And the audience was absolutely, they went crazy.
So, Greg Gutfeld, you didn't want to fact check that? Goes to show you, Greg, how shameful and pathetic Fox News is. They were literally whining about ABC fact checking. This dumbass says the audience went crazy, and Gutfeld goes,
Well, you know, Junior Varsity Vance said the quiet part out loud to Dana Bash. I will make up whatever the hell I need to make up to get the point across. If challenged on this, and of course they'll be drugged, this is the response. He didn't mean the people in the room. There was nobody in the room. He's talking about the viewing audience, everybody who reached out to him, and, to use the way he uses, and everyone else who he has encountered. You know, the people who come up to him, tears streaming down their face, saying, "Sir, we love you and you did great." So in other words, there's always a way to spin it. But again, just making this point again, even as we laugh, even as we use that energy to propel ourselves in this struggle, we have to remember that reality is no longer part of the Republican electoral playbook. The open lie is just fine. It's not even a lie anymore. It's a narrative. You know how they say alternative facts. Oh, no, Kellyanne Conway didn't mean lies. What she meant was other sets of equally true facts that give an alternative dimension. There's always going to be an explanation, but underneath the explanation is the point. Full steam ahead. That's the point.
Reese?
Nurse, the patient's out again. I think he sees people. I don't know if he sees dead people, but he sees people. I think that he cray. Now, Dr. Carr, that's some good spin. And I expect that if anybody actually cared to follow up with him and be like, Trump, what did you mean the audience went wild when it was an empty room? That's exactly what somebody would feed him. But he's a little cocoa. He really is not there. He sees things that aren't happening. He believes things that aren't true. He says things that aren't true because I think that he has mental decline. I think he's a psychopath. And so nothing that he says that is detached from reality surprises me. And the fact that nobody corrects him on the Republican side and they barely bat an eye doesn't surprise me either, because like Dr. Carr said, it's full steam ahead. So it don't matter what he said. He could have said that it was people in the front row. It was people behind him, or he could hear whatever. It wouldn't matter because the truth is completely irrelevant to the Republican Party. The only thing that's relevant to the Republican Party is blowing smoke up Donald Trump's ass, going along with whatever he says, and trying to convince the lowest, most debased people in this country that they can win with Donald Trump on their side, despite the fact that he wants to take away their health care, take away their civil rights, take away their workers' rights, and so on and so forth. As long as they can convince the deplorables that they're better off with him, then who gives a damn about the reality? Who gives a damn about the truth?
That's right.
Lauren?
This is the guy that blurted out during the debate, they're eating the cats, right? Giving us one of the best two shots in debate history where we had Vice President Harris on the other side of the screen cracking up and having the appropriate reaction, which I don't know why anybody was criticizing that, because that was the exact reaction that any sane person would have to a complete lunatic saying something about dogs and cats being stolen in Springfield, Ohio, which of course is a complete lie, right? So, I mean, Donald Trump is getting away with all sorts of things on this media that, of course, the vice president couldn't get away with. If the vice president got out there and blurted out, 30 minutes into a debate that dogs and cats are being eaten, I mean, can you imagine what the reaction to that would be? So it's insane after everything else that has happened, by the way. So it is amazing the double standard that Trump gets. It's like he has a huge, big glass cake lid of protection, which of course is race in America, where he just gets away with anything. And, you know, when you have people like Rick Wilson and Joe Rogan and Stuart Stevens sitting around saying, and Stuart Stevens and Rick Wilson in particular saying that that was the best debate performance they'd ever seen, which these guys nerd out and watch old debates and stuff like that, things that we've forgotten from yesteryear. That is just amazing to me because I certainly thought the vice president did great, but so much of it is she's having to stand there with a Looney Tune and having to be serious when somebody is talking next to you who is a pathological liar and somebody who thinks that you can just say anything and get away with it. But frankly, interestingly enough, I think the sun is starting to set on this Trump routine. You know, worked in 2016, 2017, 2018. Now people are starting to, the emperor clearly has no clothes and people are starting to call it. So we'll see.
All right, y'all, it's time for the Crockett Chronicles. Oh, Lord, y'all, they had a hearing today on Capitol Hill, always something stupid. And my Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, she had a little time today. Roll it.
This hearing is actually the best example of what waste, fraud, and abuse looks like, because the only reason we're having this hearing is because somebody got their feelings hurt in a debate. And I don't understand why we're wasting taxpayer dollars. Next time, tell your big boy to show up and be ready to handle the woman in the room who hopefully will become the next president of the United States. Nevertheless, while we do have two amazing authors from Project 2025, which it seems like everybody got the memo, like, yes, I'm going to double down and say it's my thing, but I'm going to make sure I also say that it ain't our homeboys thing, because we know that it doesn't poll very well with the American people, because the American people are woke enough to recognize that there is nothing good in it for them. So with that being said, Ms. Perryman, I'm just curious, and this is yes or no. Is Trump's name ever mentioned in Project 2025? Yes or no? Just yes or no. I got you.
Within the document itself,
yes.
There are a number of references to the former administration.
So is Trump's name mentioned just one time?
I believe it's mentioned more.
Okay. 5 times.
I haven't counted.
Oh, okay. Well, if I told you that his name is mentioned approximately 312 times, would you have any reason to dispute that?
I don't have any reason.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's interesting that we want to try to pretend. We're not going to pretend in here. We're going to work with facts and not fiction. So I also want to talk about inflation really quickly with you, Ms. Perryman, because we've talked about it a lot. I'm just curious to know, is the inflation that we just struggled through, was that global or was that limited to the United States?
Global.
Global. Seemingly, it was attached to this thing called the global pandemic. Is that correct?
That is my understanding.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't just the United States.
No.
Okay, so it wasn't just a matter of the Biden-Harris administration and the United States is struggling, right?
I think the United States actually fared better than the rest of the world.
Oh, yeah. In fact, we are. Correct?
I think so, yeah.
All right, but inflation still hurts, and so that's why we have a candidate that has an actual plan instead of concepts of a plan. Or as I like to say, Trump only has offered concepts of constitutionality mixed with coordinations of a coup. But nevertheless, we're going to move on. I want to talk about the internet really quickly because we wanted to talk about the internet. Actually, let me talk about the border real fast, and then we can talk about Texas in this way. I'd ask for unanimous consent to admit this article from The Hill that says Trump says, blame it on me if border bill fails.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you so much. Now I'm going to move on to the internet, and I'm actually going to talk about Texas because I believe that the testimony has been somewhere around the fact that no money has actually been disputed as it relates to rural broadband. I'd also ask for unanimous consent to admit this article from the USDA.gov. USDA officials attend groundbreaking to expand high-speed internet access in rural Texas, dated March 7th, 2024, Italy, Texas.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you so much.
With respect, that was not the testimony.
Oh, I thought you said no dollars had been spent.
The largest single program.
My question is, did you not say
$42 billion.
Okay.
0 houses have been connected. There are other federal programs, including Trump-era ones, that right now are turning dirt and connecting.
Okay, so just to be clear, because I don't want the American people to be confused, because I was confused, because it almost seemed as if, considering the fact the name of this hearing is the failed policies, as if nothing had been done. But to clarify for those that are watching, you aren't saying that no dollars have been spent as it relates to rural broadband dollars under the Infrastructure Act, correct?
To be clear, for the signature effort, 42
Yes or no? Have any dollars been spent?
not a
$1.
single person has been connected. There's
That's not my question, though. My question was, have any
issues. Senator Ted Cruz from
Okay,
Texas
I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on.
that
I'm reclaiming my time at this point.
many of these bills,
I'm reclaiming my time, which means, Chairman, I'm going to
per
ask you to
location.
stop my time because the witness is not.
Are you asking him a question? Or are you?
No, I'm
reclaiming
not
your
asking
time?
him a question. I reclaim my time.
All right. The chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
Okay, now I was at 41, y'all, so go back up.
We'll give you 9 more seconds.
Okay, thank you so much. Here's the deal. You've testified a lot about the problem with the broadband rollout being diversity, equity, and inclusion. You said DEI, I don't know how many times, which is one of the issues that Project 2025 takes issue with. But it's interesting to me because I have another article from the Texas Tribune, and it actually specifically states that internet providers say they are simultaneously hopeful and skeptical about whether the incoming federal dollars will be enough to connect the most underserved Texans. Historically, other federal rural broadband funding programs have seen limited success because many companies who committed to providing broadband went into default after radically underestimating their cost. It doesn't say anything about diversity. And the final thing that I will say
Do you
is
know why
that
those
this
costs have
election,
increased
I didn't ask you a question. The final thing that I will say is that this election is the best example of why y'all are so afraid of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because then you can't have a simple-minded, underqualified white man somehow end up ascending. Instead, you've got to pay attention to the qualified black woman that is on the other side. And with that, I will yield.
Reese?
I just love Jasmine Kick-Ass Crockett. Man, she just takes it to them every time, and she has the receipts, the invoices, all of that. And she's a boss, and I love her authenticity, and I love her command of the facts, because a lot of times people see the presentation and they see the sass, and she got a little slang that she talks, and they don't really recognize that she knows exactly what the hell that she's talking about. She already know the answer before she asks you the question, and she's paying attention. And so that white man thought he was going to outwit and outsmart and out talk her, and he learned today ain't gonna happen, Captain. So I love that. And the reality is that the numbers really drive the point home. I didn't even search how many times Trump appears in Project 2025, but over 300 mentions of Donald Trump's name specifically, and then they want to sit up there and act like, who? Donald Trump? Who? Donald Trump had nothing to do with that? We are not buying it. We're not buying it at all. And I really don't even like the idea that Donald Trump has concepts of a plan when he clearly has a 920-something page roadmap blueprint of a plan. And that doesn't even count the thousands of appointees that he wants to install over civil workers and the judges that he's going to get a list from the Federalist Society and all kinds of people. So I think he has much more than concepts of a plan, but he wants to try to make it seem like he's yielding. And
he's lying. I mean, we all know he's lying in the role he's playing. Now, there was another member of Congress who lit this Project 2025 author up over the issue of Haiti. I want to get that in. Pull this up, y'all. First of all, before you go there, Unite for America. We're a little more than 10 minutes away. Pull it up. We're a little more than 10 minutes away. We're going to go live to it as soon as it starts. But I want to play this before we do. Go.
Good morning. Mr. Kerkorian, you're an advisory board member for Project 2025, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Kerkorian, in addition to being a Project 2025 board member, you also run the Center for Immigration Studies. You've done that for decades, where you spread and disseminated writings of people like Kevin McDonald, John Friend, and Jared Taylor, correct?
We used to have an email service that distributed links to
those to their writings. That's right.
And the New York Times and all kinds of other.
Correct. And you, so yes, I know that you're aware that you spread the writings of these three along with others, but these three are egregious examples. McDonald is the editor of a white nationalist journal. Your organization, as you said, disseminated his writings. He blamed Jewish people for the deaths of millions of people in the 20th century. John Friend, who you just said you disseminated his writings, is an infamous Holocaust denier. You spread his writings. Jared Taylor stated, quote, and I quote, this horrible quote, that when black people are left on their own, civilization disappears, end quote. That's what he said. You, a Project 2025,
we distributed only.
You only distributed. Correct. I understand. I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman. Correct. You only disseminated writings from multiple white nationalists. Reclaiming my time. I'm going to ask you a question, sir. I'm going to ask you the next question.
About immigration.
Reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman. I'd like that time back. So you, a Project 2025 board member, you're stating you did not disseminate, for example, Mr. Taylor, Mr. McDonald, or Mr. Friend's specific quotes here, but you just continuously disseminated these white nationalists' writing. One time is a problem. When you do it over and over and over again, it's a pattern. But I'll stop asking about the things that you and your organization disseminated. I'll ask you, Mr. Kerkorian, and I know you're a Project 2025 board member, your recent quote from a few years ago where you said, quote, Haiti is so screwed up because it wasn't colonized long enough, end quote. Is that correct? Did you say that?
I'm happy to talk about that all you want.
You did say it. That's right.
I wrote it, yes.
You said that. Haiti was colonized as a slave plantation colony. The French colonized Haiti so that slaves would work on plantations. The end of colonization in Haiti was so that the people there would no longer be slaves. So what you're saying, and I read your quote, and anybody watching this online should go read it. What you're saying is it would have been good if they'd stayed colonized, which means that it would have been good if they had stayed enslaved by the French.
In the long run, it's one of the
in the long run,
history. No,
people shouldn't have been enslaved a single day. I'm reclaiming my time, Chairman.
And they had every right. They had every right to throw the.
What French you said is that you would have wanted them. Reclaiming my time. I'm talking now.
They would have been freed 30 years later, and they would have been in the same situation.
You're saying you wanted 30 more years of slavery in Haiti. Reclaiming my time.
I did not.
You just said it. Honestly, it adds up. You said that they would have benefited from the French influence.
In
the French
long
were
run,
the ones.
like the people in Martinique and
reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman. I'd like my time back. Please.
Enslaved.
My time. This is my time, Mr. Kerkorian.
They are much better off.
Honestly, this all starts to add up. This all starts to add up. You continue to do this, disseminate writings of white nationalists, try to rationalize, for example, Haiti being colonized for 30 more years. You're a Project 2025 board member. In Project 2025, I couldn't figure out why on page 583 it advocates for not allowing racial disparity or gender disparity to be considered discrimination legally anymore. In Project 2025, it eliminates a 50-year-old executive order that prohibits discrimination in federal jobs. On page 586, Project 2025 advocates for Donald Trump to allow businesses to discriminate based on religious beliefs. Before today, I couldn't understand why Trump's Project 2025 could advocate for ending civil rights protections. Why would Trump's Project 2025, I know there's crazy stuff in here, but I couldn't get why it would advocate for ending protections against discrimination. But now I understand. We have.
Well, hot damn, Greg.
Well,
and that was Greg Caesar, a Democratic congressman from Texas out of Austin. Go ahead.
No. Yeah. I mean, I finally got my hand on a physical copy of Project 2025. Yeah, I've been stalking one. I finally got my hands on one. Couldn't get one down at the Heritage Foundation, and I did go down there looking for it. But, this is completely logical. We have to remember that the white supremacist who runs this project, who runs that foundation, Kevin Roberts, is Dr. Kevin Roberts. 21 years ago, he wrote his dissertation at the University of Texas on slaves and slavery in Louisiana, the evolution of Atlantic world identity, 1791 to 1831. If those dates sound familiar, 1791 was the date of the beginning of the Haitian Revolution. 1831 was the Nat Turner Rebellion in Virginia. Dr. Kevin Roberts, the captain of the Project 2025 flagship, would say, and I read his dissertation, he's arguing, among other things, that assimilation into the American culture is what improved people of African descent, but ultimately it was the their failure to kind of meld together that led to the problem. The logic that what he's saying about in Haiti, when you read scholars in Haiti and scholars on the Haitian Revolution, after Toussaint Louverture, you had Jean-Jacques Dessalines and then Henri Christophe. Christophe becomes a king in Haiti. They had challenges in state formation. These white nationalists, and this is where it's very clear, these white nationalists believe that the problems that Haiti had in the early days after the putting out the French, the English, and the Spanish, the problems they had were because somehow black people are inferior, genetically inferior. You know, we eat cats and dogs and things like that, and we're not qualified to be the president of the United States, all those kind of things. But what the historians will tell you is the problems Haiti had were because every other country in the hemisphere, terrified that the rest of us were going to turn up and tear the place up, excluded Haiti from any form of trade. The United States didn't recognize Haiti until 1863. Y'all friend Abraham Lincoln, all of you crying crocodile tears over the great emancipator, who wanted, by the way, to send black people out of the country, and Haiti was one of the places they considered during the Lincoln administration. My point is that what these white nationalists always do is exclude the hand of white nationalism and global white supremacy whenever factoring in the challenges African people have had. This is so on brand, it should come as no surprise. That is how they think. So the only way you can deal with them is not to argue with them, because Kevin Roberts, quite frankly, knows more about the Haitian Revolution than most of the people who would claim they know something about the Haitian Revolution. The way you deal with them is to break their effing backs. You have to break them politically. You have to break them socially. You have to break them economically with your dollars. You're not going to argue with them on any common basis of logic, because if you don't understand white supremacy, everything else you think you understand will only confuse you.
Lauren, I got about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Go.
Yeah, I mean, everything Dr. Carr said, you know, everything with them leads back to some sort of argument that they're superior. I remember when the bell curve came out. It's the same thing. Project 2025 is the same thing. They're just always wanting to say that they're superior. And, you know, to Greg's point, winning these elections is what stops that forward progress on these policies. And I guess tonight in a few minutes we'll see more discussion, Joe Taka and the gang, with regard to the next hour with the vice president and friends. So it's an amazing thing to watch a major political party implode into this, into hatred of other people and really into racism.
All right, then. To the panel, I appreciate y'all being on today's show, this truncated version. Again, we're going to go live to the Unite for America virtual rally. So, again, let me thank Lauren, Reese, Greg. Always a pleasure to have y'all here. Folks, don't forget, support the work that we do. Ain't nobody else doing this, y'all. I keep telling y'all this here. Not Urban One, not Blavity, not Black Enterprise, not Essence. I mean, all these folk, none of them. What we are doing here with this show, with the other shows on the network, we're killing it left and right. So join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to do the work that we do. Again, Cash App, we got to have now 3 because they tripping on our main one. So use $RM Unfiltered. If that doesn't work, use $Uncle Roro Martin. If that doesn't work, use $BLK Star Network. I know it's cumbersome. I'm trying to get them to change it, but damn, this is what we got to do. So do that. Send your check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App is PayPal, Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version on Audible. Don't forget, tomorrow we're going to have, after the show, the Fan Base Invest-a-thon. A number of people have signed up for that. Y'all pull the graphic up. Don't forget, we also are going to have, first of all, I saw over here that Will I Am is going to be one of the folks on there. Jamal Bryant, Charlemagne the God, so many other people there. So the goals to raise with his Investathon, to finish this $17 million raise. And so that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow right here on the Black Star Network. So looking forward to it. You see it right there. More names are being added. So again, it's going to be 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. All right, folks, that is it. Time for us to now go right now to Oprah. Vice President Kamala Harris will unite for America.
2024, let's go! Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose.
Tonight, we're calling on people from across our great country who are fired up for Vice President Kamala Harris. After an electrifying Democratic National Convention, Kamala Harris raised record-breaking campaign donations, became a viral sensation, and then the world watched her step into her power and dominate that debate.
You're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me.
In an unprecedented surge, grassroots coalitions have organized in lightning speed, creating a tidal wave of support.
Black women, were you in the meeting last night?
It all started the night Kamala Harris announced her candidacy. Advocacy group Win with Black Women, a collective of thousands of black women leaders from around the country, founded by Joteka Edie, hosted a Zoom call to support the campaign. Within hours, they raised $1.6 million and had so many people on the line, they almost broke Zoom, y'all.
I was on Zoom with 44,000 other black women who were all focused on getting this woman to the White House.
Win with Black Women was the original spark that inspired over 100 other groups to organize their own Zooms for Kamala, like Win with Black Men, White Women Answer the Call, White Dudes for Harris, Jewish Women for Kamala.
Be the badass Jewesses that I know you all are.
Comics for Kamala.
She is the president America needs.
Swifties for Kamala.
First of all, I am a Swiftie.
Even cat ladies for Kamala.
Come on, cat ladies!
Tonight, for the first time, we are uniting all the groups together in one place with a single purpose. Elect Kamala Harris, President of the United States.
Thank you. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Thanks for joining us for this very special event, Unite for America! And that's exactly what we're doing live tonight, uniting from Farmington Hills in Oakland County, Michigan. We have 400 people in our audience and thousands more. Hello, all of you on screen. Hello, everybody on screen. Thousands more joining us on screen. And I am here because I care deeply about the future of our country. And I know that all of you do too. You care about the future of our country. And we just saw on this tape this grassroots, people-powered movement behind Kamala Harris has unleashed a unifying force unlike anything we've seen in politics in a very long time. And I know lots of people are feeling it because it actually is hope and joy rising. And there's been a... Can you feel it? You can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel it. We can feel it. We can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel it. There's been so much talk about that word joy, and I think it's such a good thing because it means that there is a real feeling of optimism and hope, making that comeback, as Michelle Obama said, for this new day that's no longer on the horizon. The new day is actually here. We're in it. We're living it. So let me tell you how this event began. I was on the phone with Joteka Edie, founder of Win with Black Women.
We're going to be talking to her a little later on. And we were talking about all the groups inspired by Win with Black Women who had 47,000 women on one call 3 hours after Kamala Harris announced that she was going to be running. 3 hours afterwards, 47,000 women were on the phone. And Joteka and I were talking, wouldn't it be great if we brought all the groups together? Because that phone call inspired all the other groups. And so we said, wouldn't it be great if we brought all the groups together at one time? And that's why we're here. So we have the Cat Ladies for Kamala here. Rural Americans for Harris. Caregivers for Kamala. Train lovers for Harris Waltz. I didn't know there were train lovers. Train lovers, chefs for Kamala, love that group. Republicans for Harris, love that group even more. We've got Swifties, where are you? Swifties for Kamala! And in addition to thousands of you all who I am just meeting here tonight on screen, I see some faces I recognize. There's Brian Cranston. Hey, Brian.
Hey. Hello, hello, hello.
Where are you? Brian Cranston! I hear Chris Rock is in the house. Chris, where are you? Chris Rock is in the house. Ben Stiller, Jennifer Lopez, Tracy Ellis Ross. Jennifer Lopez! Where are you, Jennifer? Yes! Tracy Ellis Ross, where are you? Tracy Ellis, where are you on the screen? Tracy Ellis. Julia Roberts, where are you? And Miss Meryl Streep is in the house. So glad to have all of you familiar faces and those of you who are not yet familiar to all of us. Okay, Brian, so happy to have you here tonight. Brian Cranston, what do you want to say? Why did you want to join us here tonight?
I'm just smiling from ear to ear, Oprah. I have never felt this much joy and optimism in a campaign in a long time. So I'm just so appreciative of Kamala to be able to bring back that sense of optimism and to squash the cynicism and the vitriol and the rancor that just seems to be floating all around Washington. And I hope that we're going to ride this wave into Washington. I'm here to support. I can't be happier than this candidate. I think she's going to be a terrific president.
Thank you, Brian Cranston. So, thanks, Brian. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from London. Chris Rock, so it's the middle of the night there. You're the one who told me, remember, Chris and I ran into each other this summer, and Chris, no matter where you meet him, he's funny. He goes, there's going to be weeping in the streets. Are we ready for the weeping in the streets? When Kamala Harris becomes president of the United States of America. Weeping in the streets. What do you want to say, sir?
I've always been a fan of Kamala, even back when she was running for, I remember writing her a check when she was like the district attorney for something. Maybe it was to get out of a parking ticket or something. But I've been writing her checks for a long time. And I just want to bring my daughters to the White House to meet this black woman president.
That's a reason. That's a reason.
That's a reason. I think she would make a great president. And I'm ready to turn the page, man.
Yeah.
All the hate, the negativity, it's got to stop.
Yeah, we're so sick of the negativity. Thank you so much, Chris, for being up this early in the morning in London. Thank you. Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller, I heard you were on the Comics for Kamala, and so I want to know where all the comics Kamala?
They were, and I didn't outdo anyone. I was probably the least fun of all the comics. But it was really, I mean, it was great though, because everybody was so energized. And I mean, I got to go to the convention and see her speech, which was just incredible, and feeling that energy, feeling kind of going from a stop Trump mode into a go Kamala mode, the people starting to, really hear what she's about. And, I have a 22-year-old daughter, 19-year-old son is going to be voting in his first election. My daughter's, her reproductive rights are incredibly important. Standing up for.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. And I think
standing up for,
Yeah, I think what Chris said, we're ready to turn the page. Thank you, Ben Stiller. So we are all together, united for one cause, and that is to get out the vote for Kamala Harris. Joteka Edie is here, and you describe Win with Black Women as a collective love letter to ourselves. I know you all been doing this a long time. I was on a lot of calls with y'all in 2020, but we ain't never seen nothing like this before, right? Stand up. Tell us what is happening. Explain the power of what happened 3 hours after Kamala, we knew that she was going to step into this candidacy.
First of all, Oprah, this is amazing to just be united. And that night, Black women everywhere, we knew one thing. We wanted to gather in our joy, and we knew that we needed to get to work. And on that night, Black women, the 44,000 on that Zoom, and the additional 50,000 Black women and our friends that joined to watch that Zoom, what we knew was that it was a moment in our country to show what Black women have always done. That love letter that I often speak of, that love letter is a letter that started years before any of us in this room, you, myself, were even born. And it started by Black women years ago who knew this moment would be here. But they worked, and they knew they wouldn't see it, but one day we would. And I just think that it is an honor for all of us to be able to usher in this moment, knowing that those who watered this mighty field are now allowing us to eat of the fruit.
Whoa!
Of the trees that is there.
Thank you so much. And so, as I said, that call from Win with Black Women is what inspired all the other groups. So White Dudes for Harris raised a bunch of money. Lead organizer Ross Morales Roquetto is here, right? Ross? And I hear that my producer told me you've been working in politics a long time, and that really for more than 20 years, and that you said you hadn't seen anything like this.
I haven't seen anything like this since 2008.
Yep.
When President Obama was elected. And when he got elected, it was about a newness and a hope. This time, it's about an exuberance and an excitement that you only get from hard-fought wins and hard-fought losses and knowing what's at stake. And that's why we're not going back.
That's why we're not going back. We're not going back. Thank you, Mr. White Dude. Thank you so much. Khalil Thompson is the founder of Win with Black Men. Khalil, what do you want Black men to know about this election?
Well, thank you, Oprah and Ms. Winfrey, for allowing us to be here and share in this amazing moment tonight. Brothers, men who are watching this and enjoying this moment, you have a choice. I choose experience and fortitude over something else. I come from a litany of amazing Black women, Kathy, Jahan, Megan Janelle, CEO who runs my life. Hopefully she's at home, finished her homework. But we have a chance to do a performance review and give a promotion to the best qualified candidate to be president of the United States.
Okay, so let me just ask you this. On the way here, when I was coming through the airport, Black man stopped me and he said, I guess he knew I was coming here for I'm just tell you, I'm voting for Trump. I'm voting for Trump because he gave me that check. And so I've heard that from several people, that I got the check, he gave us the check, and so therefore forget about the checks.
Well, what he doesn't know is that Congress actually paid for the check and the American people paid for it. 45 just signed it, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, there's a...
So what do you want to say to that kind of thinking? Because a lot of people feel that way.
Have your viewpoint and views for where you believe, but I think choosing, if I have the choice to go into someone to make the best decision for my family, I don't want someone who has 34 convictions. I don't want someone who is going to choose hate, choosing the best possible way to unite us as a country. And so I see Vice President Harris as being the best person to do that.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Shannon Watts. Watts is the organizer of White Women Answer the Call. Shannon, what do you want to say? What do you want to say specifically to white women in Oakland County, white women throughout the United States about this moment in answering the call?
Even if you are a white woman who is voting for Kamala Harris, you have to get off the sidelines and do the work like black women and black men have been doing for decades, and follow the lead of people like Jotega, whose lead we follow. We have to be waking up every day and phone banking and knocking doors and sending texts. But most important, we have to be persuading the white women in our lives. We may be part of the 47%, but we know the 53%. There are and our friends, and we have to tell them to vote not just in their own self-interests, but in all women's best interests.
Right. And so that's what tonight is all about. Tonight is all about leaving this moment here and figuring out what you can do in your own home, in your own community, in your own district to spread the word and spread the vote. So Bianca Shaw is the youth director for South Asians for Harris. What are you hearing from the South Asian community?
Yes, thank you so much for that question. I want to start off and say, I would be here, I said me. Are you sure? Because I cannot believe it, but thank you so much. South Asians for Harris, we are an official, AANHPI campaign affiliate with the group, and I just want to say that the aunties, the uncles, the students, we're coming out in numbers we've never seen before, out to mobilize for Kamala Devi Harris in this campaign, because not only does she represent, our South heritage, our love for Italy, but she also represents the values that, our parents, our grandparents immigrated to this country to keep and maintain, and she does that so well, and we need to maintain that.
Thank you. It's about the values. I'm with you. Thank you. Okay, before the Vice President joins us, I want to bring Michigander, I love saying Michigander, around here. She's known as Big Gretch. Please welcome Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Big Gretch.
Fresh in the new trend. Yeah, that's Big Gretch. Throwing a buck on her face, but that's Big Gretch. We ain't even about to stretch.
We're so happy to be in your state.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here.
Yes, and we want everybody who can vote, obviously, to vote, but it's very important for women. So what do you want to say to women?
Well, this is going to be a big, close race. Michigan is always tight. We know we're feeling good, but we got to translate that feeling into action. We deserve a leader who is strong and kind. It's not mutually exclusive. And that's why I think this moment is so important for all of us today, but for our kids and future generations too. There's so much at stake here, from our individual reproductive freedom to the ability to get ahead and make a good living and take care of your family. That's all on the line this election.
Yes, strong and kind.
Yes.
Isn't that a notion? And what can Michigan do to help get Kamala Harris to the White House?
I think we've got to do the hard work. In 2016, we were short 11,000 votes. That's 2 votes per precinct, which tells you that a conversation you have with a loved one or a neighbor or a fellow parishioner, whomever in your life you can talk to, We've got to do it. Do something, as Michelle Obama said at the convention.
Well, this is what we're doing tonight. We're doing something. Thank you for allowing us in your
Thank you.
state. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a seat there. Thank you. Right there. I want to bring in right now the chair of the Harris-Walz campaign, Jen O'Malley Dillon. Jen, hello. Hi. Have you seen anything like this? Isn't this great fun?
It's amazing.
Tell us what needs to happen from this day until November 5th.
So first of all, this campaign is so inspired by the grassroots organizations that have come together like this, and it is making us stronger as a campaign to work together. We wouldn't be here without them today. We have 47 days left, and you all know the stakes or you wouldn't be here. And while we have this extraordinary growing enthusiasm that the Vice President and Governor Walz are seeing everywhere, we are still in a margin of error race. It's tied. It's tied right here in Michigan. It's tied in all the battleground states. So it's going to take all of us to build a pathway, many pathways to 270 electoral votes. That's what we're focused on in the campaign. In every state, we have to register more people. We have to mobilize our voters to turn out to vote. And then we have got to go persuade those people that still don't know enough about the Vice President and her vision for the future. And if we do that together, all of us, we're going to get over the top, but it's really going to take all of us. And to make sure that you're working in your own lives, have those hard conversations in big and small ways. We're going to inch our way over the finish line because we're going to be able to do it together.
And don't you need money?
Well, we do. We do. And these groups need money too. All of us do, because the work is happening on the ground and in the communities. So if you want to help in any way at all in the campaign, go to go.kamalaharris.com. But if you want to help and not be formally engaged with us and join any of these groups here, that's what we need too. It's going to take all of us.
Yes, and I think that everybody on the screens, everybody in this room, everybody who's listening, you become your own grassroots organization when we leave this moment that we're sharing here tonight, and you do what you can in your community. It's not enough just to join us all. We love having you here, but the rah-rah moment is going to end, and then we need to get to work. We need to get busy. Okay, thank you, Jim. I have to just say this, that the social media team for the Harris campaign has been killing it. They have been killing it. I think that team helped spark this people-led movement. And here's a short look at the rallying cry across social media.
I'm watching the Kamala Harris rally right now, and wow, I'm like crying.
So Tony and I just got done knocking 48 doors in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. Majority, if not all, independent Republican libertarian doors.
Republicans for Harris is growing explosively too. We just need to get back to a place in this country where we can have disagreements and have them still be respectful.
I'm here with Richard, a 77-year-old registered Republican who's going to be voting for Kamala Harris.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Obviously, Endorse just doesn't stand for anything that I stand for.
What issues are most important to you personally?
First of all, not electing a felon to the White House.
I'm voting Harris-Walz and a blue ticket all the way.
In 2020, only 50% of young eligible voters actually showed up, and that was record-breaking. So if you really want to be brat, you better be showing up in droves in November.
We are with her. And she's with us.
I voted for Nikki Haley in the primary. I'm going to be voting for Kamala Harris. That's the right choice for America in 2024.
Let me tell you, it is about character, and it's about decency and respect, and all the things that we were raised to believe about what it means to be an American citizen and pursue the American dream. And if that is important to you, I hope, whether you are a Democrat or a Republican or somewhere in the middle, you will choose to vote your values, because values are on the line in this election. And in no other country on this earth could her story unfold the way it has. From a child of immigrants to big sister to McDonald's worker, there is hope for y'all. District attorney, a wife, and mamala, to senator, to vice president. Please welcome Kamala Harris. So welcome to... Hello! Madam Vice President. Hello. Welcome to Michigan.
It's so good to be back. And Governor, thank you for everything you are and everything you do for this state. Thank you.
Well,
thank you.
Can you see this? We have 1,000 screens here representing people from all over the country.
Hi, everyone.
Can you feel? Can you feel? Can you feel it? Can you feel the joy rising in here?
I can, and I have to tell you, there's so much that I love about our campaign because it really is about the people. And I look around at these screens, Oprah, I look at who's in the room, and this is America.
This is
America. You know, I was saying with a group of friends earlier, I think in this moment where we've dealt with so much that I think is quite exhausting around powerful forces that would try and divide us and try us to have us as Americans pointing fingers at each other.
Yes.
That this movement that is about reminding each other that we have so much more in common than what separates us is so critically important. And this is about the strength of who we are as Americans. And this movement that we're in about, as I like to say, seeing in the face of a stranger a neighbor.
Yes, yes, yes,
right?
yes, yes.
An extension of love thy neighbor, that you literally in the face of a stranger see a neighbor.
Yes.
And approach each other with that level of dignity and grace and kindness.
Well, that's exactly what happened with the Win with Black Women. I know you've known Joe Tate for many years.
Thank you, my
That's
dear.
exactly what happened.
He started it.
Is that they had to
started it.
They had to be
It's your fault.
They had the big call and then said, let's open the door.
Yeah.
Let's open the door and invite everybody else in, and everybody actually came.
Organically.
Yes.
Organically. Like, this is the beauty of our country. You know, there's so much at stake in this election. And ultimately, the question before us is, what kind of country do we want to live in? And the beauty of a democracy, as long as we can hold on to it, the beauty of a democracy is each of us has the power. Each of us has the power to answer that question.
That's right. Everybody on this call and beyond has the power. But can I just start with this?
Yes, please.
I have to say this because in all of my private conversations, Gail, and I've said this 100 times, and everybody is saying it, you all have said it, I know you have. It seems to us that something happened to you the moment Joe Biden, President Biden, stepped aside and withdrew his candidacy, that a veil or something dropped and you just stepped into your power? I mean, literally, looking at you at a speech like the week before, which was a great speech, very nice, and then the next week, I saw you walking in the thing. And I said, what happened to you?
You know, we each have those moments in our lives where it's time to step up.
Time to step up.
Time to step up, you know?
Well, the moment you heard, I mean, I really have been saying to people, it felt like a veil dropped and you sort of stepped through that veil. Did that actually, did you feel like that?
I felt a sense of responsibility, to be honest with you. And with that comes a sense of purpose. But I mean, we're all here and you all are taking time out of your busy lives, everyone here, everyone on the screen, because there really is so much at stake. You know, I have spent the majority of my career being concerned about the well-being of other people.
Yeah.
As I've said, in my career as a prosecutor, I never looked at a victim or a witness and asked them, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them is, are you okay?
Are you okay? I know when I heard that.
You know?
Touch me.
And traveling this country and knowing what is at stake in terms of fundamental freedoms, what's at stake in terms of fighting against hate and those efforts to divide us. And I do know that I'm in a position to do something about it. So I felt a great responsibility. And the incredible power of the people, right, who I'm not the only leader in this. We're all leaders in this. This is so much bigger than me. It's about who we are as Americans. And it's about making clear what we stand for. And what we stand for is, it is about the ideals upon which we were founded, including the importance of freedom and the importance of independence and the importance of dignity and purpose. But it is also about what we stand for in terms of our values. I think of it this way.
I think a lot boils down to values. I just said values are on the line here.
It does. I mean, think about it, Oprah. The idea that some would suggest, and that my opponent suggests, which is that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down. Come on. The real measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. And it's important for us
absolutely
to articulate that.
You know, ever since the debate, we feel for our fellow citizens in Springfield. Do you not think about the fellow citizens in Springfield, Ohio, the Haitian families, the non-Haitian families, everybody having to deal with this lie that has endangered the lives of Haitian people and anybody who looks Haitian? Everybody in America feels for that. And everybody in America, left, right, middle, has concerns about immigration. And I'm told that Justin, where are you in the audience? Justin.
Hello.
In our audience.
Hello, Madam Vice President.
You live in Michigan.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't love saying hello, Madam Vice President.
I do.
What's your question? It's an immigration question.
My question for you is, when you become president, what would be your specific steps? Yeah, of course. What would be specific steps to strengthening the border?
So it's a wonderful and important question. You know, my background was as a prosecutor, and I was also the elected Attorney General for 2 terms of a border state. So this is not a theoretical issue for me. This is something I've actually worked on. Okay. I have prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. I take very seriously the importance of having a secure border and ensuring the safety of the American people. Sadly, where we are now can be traced most recently back to the fact that when the United States Congress, members of the Congress, including some of the most conservative Republicans, came up with a border security bill. And here's what that border security bill would have done. It would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border. Let me tell you, those border agents are working around the clock. It would have just been about giving them some support and relief, which is probably why the border agents actually endorsed the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl. And I'm looking at people from all over the country here, so I don't need to tell the folks who are watching this what fentanyl has done to families, to kids in our country, and the need to take seriously stemming the flow coming into our country and addressing that extraordinary and tragic issue in terms of its effect. The bill would have allowed us to have more resources to prosecute transnational criminal organizations. And it would have been part of the solution. And Donald Trump called up those folks and said, don't put that bill on the floor for a vote. He blocked the bill, and you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And he has put his personal political security before border security. Because understand, even in the intervening months, what that bill would have done to give support to folks who care about this issue. And this, again, gets to the point about what does leadership really look like? And is it about you or is it about the people? Right. Is it about running on problems or fixing problems? My work and my career has always been about saying, let's fix problems. Let's address the needs, because we know it's within our capacity to do that.
So to answer Justin's question, now that that bill has gone and hasn't passed, will you reintroduce that?
Absolutely. And when I am elected President of the United States, I will make sure that bill gets to my desk and I will sign it into law.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Justin. Listen to this. A majority of young Americans, 18 to 34, say that the cost of living is their top issue ahead of the election. Let's take a look.
Groceries are extremely expensive right now.
I don't understand how people are affording life right now.
For so many Americans, the high cost of living is their top concern this election.
Rach, we have $435 to last us till the end of the month. Okay?
What?
In Philadelphia, Rachel and Garrett say they have to watch every penny.
When I think of middle class, I think about people who are able to just get up and go and do things within their means and like not extravagant things, but be able to get up and go to dinner whenever they want, or maybe take that trip, that long weekend trip. We don't have that luxury.
By a long shot, her tax plan is phenomenal, no glaze.
Kamala Harris just delivered her new economic plan, and boy, oh boy, is it good for small business owners.
Holy shit, you guys. Kamala Harris is going to announce tomorrow a $25,000 tax credit for first-time home buyers.
When I am elected president, I will make it a top priority to bring down costs and increase economic security for all Americans.
Well, Rachel and Garrett are joining us on Zoom from Pennsylvania, and I understand your sister and brother-in-law moved in, and you're hoping to save money to have a second child?
That's right. Hi, Oprah. Hi, Madam Vice President. It's nice to be with you all.
Yes.
Hi.
And so what did you want to say to the Vice President?
So, Madam Vice President, we are, like many, many young Americans, just experiencing a very high cost of living. We ended up giving up our apartment, moving in with our parents, who were so gracious to take us in for over a year so that we could save money and ultimately buy a home, because that's what we thought the American dream was, to get married and buy a home and have a baby. And now here we are, and our mortgage is incredibly higher than what we thought it would be. And my sister and our brother-in-law are living with us right now so that they can hopefully one day do the same. And while it's beneficial for us because they help us pay off some of our mortgage, it's also beneficial for them because they can save on cheaper rent. But we really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here. And yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And in terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family, and working hard and finding that the American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive than it's been. And we need to deal with that. And there are a number of ways. One is bringing down the cost of everyday necessities, including groceries. So that's why I'm taking on, for example, price gouging. Which is when, most companies and corporations are good, but for those bad ones, they take advantage of, especially during a pandemic or extreme weather, and they end up jacking up prices, and there needs to be accountability and consequence for that. So I'm going to be taking on price gouging. But it's also about dealing with what we need to do around home ownership, right? So as someone mentioned during this film, look, I grew up a child of a mother who worked very hard. She raised me and my sister, and she saved up, and by the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy a home. And we grew up actually for a long time in an apartment on top of a child care center that was owned by the woman we called our second mother, because she helped my mother raise us. And she was a small business owner, Miss Shelton. So I'll bring all this together to tell you the way I think about it is, one, when people work hard and have a dream of buying a home, we should give you the opportunity to be able to do that, which is why part of my plan is for first-time homeowners, buyers, to have a $25,000 down payment assistance to buy your first home. Because people just need to be able to get their foot in the door, and then you'll do the hard work. Part of my plan is what we need to do to support small businesses, because my second mother was a small business owner, and I love our small businesses and our small business owners. They are not only business leaders, they are community leaders. They mentor, they hire locally, and we have so many entrepreneurs in our country who have great ideas, incredible work ethic, but not necessarily access to capital, because not everybody, like my opponent, was handed $400 million on a silver that he filed bankruptcy 6 times on. And so part of my plan is to give startup small businesses a $50,000 tax deduction to start up their small business. Right now it's $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. So that's part of my plan.
That's a teeny tiny business.
That's a business in
teeny tiny business.
It's a concept of a business, right?
Yes.
You know where I'm going. That's right. And
it's still on paper with the $5,000.
Right.
It's still on paper.
It does have to happen, right? Part of to speak to you guys and your family and your dreams is what we need to do around giving middle-class families tax breaks. And so part of my plan is also to extend and expand the child tax credit to $6,000 so that you can, in the first year of your child's life, have the resources to be able to buy a crib and a car seat and clothes for your baby, knowing that's such an extraordinarily important time in their development, and you shouldn't have to worry about how you're going to take care of their basic needs. All of this and more is part of what I plan to build, and I call it an opportunity economy. And it's basically about creating opportunities, knowing so many people have the ambition, have the aspirations, are working hard, but just need opportunity to reach their goals and their dreams.
I saw you smiling with that $20 credit for the home. I saw that smile on your face and the $6,000. Thank you all so much. I want to just introduce to Shelby, who's also in our virtual audience. Thank you guys. Shelby from Virginia, who's also struggling with the cost of living. Tell us your story, Shelby. Why?
Hi, Madam Vice President. Hi, Oprah. I'm 24 years old. I'm a graduate student living with my parents, and I want to move out next year and potentially buy a home. And I'm concerned about the affordability of one with the extra costs and bills that I'm paying now, along with the bills and costs I will pay in the future too. And so everything just has a cost and everything is so expensive. And so I'm worried about my capacity and how I'm able to fully support myself once I do live independently.
You sound like one of my daughter girls from South Africa graduated. She was like, I hate adulting. I hate adulting. This adulting isn't going so well. Yes.
Well, so first of all, congratulations on all the success you've already achieved. And it is your story and the story of our friends before you is really, that's the American story, right? You are working hard, you have goals, you have ambitions. And so part of it is, again, the $25,000 down payment assistance. Part of it is what we need to do to also push back against a very different vision for our country. Because look, in this election, there are two very different visions for our country. One, for me, that is focused on the future, including you, and another that is focused on the past. What Donald Trump, what my opponent plans on doing for the economy is doing what he did the last time he was president and giving another tax break for billionaires and the biggest corporations that would add $5 trillion to our deficit. And get this, he plans on doing what I call a Trump sales tax, which is basically he's going to put a 20% tax on everyday necessities that economists have estimated will cost American $4,000 more a year, which is why Goldman Sachs, which is why Moody's, which is why Wharton School of Business, which is why 16 Nobel laureates have collectively determined, after analyzing our plans, one, mine would strengthen the economy, his would weaken it. Two, that on his plan, he would actually blow up inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. So when you think about the cost of living, my approach is about lifting you up. His would be about actually weakening our economy. And I feel very strongly when an individual, when a small business, when a family, when the middle class is strong, America is strong.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Thank you, Shelby. Thank you, Rachel and Garrett. So the Harris campaign kicked off the Fighting for Reproductive Freedom bus tour to support the fundamental right for women to make decisions about our own bodies. And here is a short tape on that.
I did something that nobody thought was possible. I got rid of...
After Roe v. Wade was overturned, Tennessee put forth a ban immediately that banned all abortion with no exceptions.
Abortion bans are not pro-life. They are pro-poverty and pro-inequality.
It's been over 2 years since a 5-4 ruling by the Supreme Court ended Roe versus Wade, the landmark case that provided nearly 50 years of abortion rights across the United States. Since then, abortions have been banned in over a dozen states. Many women and doctors say the limits on reproductive rights have forced them into situations.
These policies do not reflect evidence-based medical practice. They do not keep my patients safe.
According to the gender equity policy, women who live in states where abortion is banned are up to 3 times more likely to die during pregnancy, during childbirth, or soon after giving birth.
I nearly died, all because of Donald Trump's Supreme Court justices overturning Roe v. Wade.
So for the millions of you who watched the Democratic National Convention, you will remember Hadley Duvall telling her incredibly powerful story. And in case you didn't see it, here's just a brief look.
Growing up, I was an all-American girl. Varsity soccer captain, cheerleading captain, homecoming queen, and survivor. I was raped by my stepfather after years of sexual abuse. At age 12, I took my first pregnancy test, and it was positive.
Hadley is here. Stand up, Hadley. We are all standing up because we are so impressed by your courage to stand up and share your story. Where did that come from, the strength to do this? Because I'm sure you thought long and hard before deciding to go public with your story.
When Roe v. Wade was overturned, with a harsh reality of my abuse was over, but my story is not. And I just could not fathom thinking about the other Hadleys out there that don't have that choice, that don't have somebody to go to. So being able to find courage and be the light for them, that's really what I do it for.
And so what do you want to say to other people who are voting in this election regarding to you and what that means?
You can't wait until it's too late to care about reproductive health care, because then it's too late. And when it affects you, it hits, and you can't deny it. You can't look at someone with a story like mine and say it didn't happen. And there are more people like me out there, and there are going to be so many more who deserve their options. They deserve their choices. Let's get involved. We have someone who's willing to hear like never before. We have someone who wants to know what we want in this country. We have someone who wants to lift up our voice. And we need to show out and show up for her just like she's showing out and showing up for us.
All right. Is there something you wanted to say to Madam Vice President?
Madam Vice President, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for seeing us, for hearing us when the Supreme Court won't. Thank you for fighting and, you know, really showing us that life is not about the hard things that you go through. You don't bow down, even when you're the underdog, especially when you're the underdog.
That's right.
You stand. You give me so much hope and so much strength, and thank you.
Thank you, Hadley, for coming all this way. I hope you continue to use your voice. I hope you continue that. This week, the case of a young woman who lost her life after the abortion ban took place in Georgia made national headlines. Amber's case came to light through the reporting of journalist Kavitha Sarana with ProPublica. And so listen to her story. 2 years ago, 28-year-old Amber Nicole Thurman, a medical assistant and a single mother to a 6-year-old boy, found out she was pregnant. Amber had just apartment and was thinking about going to nursing school. She made the decision to terminate her pregnancy. A strict abortion ban had recently taken place in her home state of Georgia, which caused Amber to travel to North Carolina for the procedure. Traffic made her miss the appointment, so the clinic gave her medication, what are known as abortion pills. Once back home, Amber experienced profuse bleeding, vomiting, severe pain. She eventually passed out. Her boyfriend called for an ambulance. At the Georgia hospital, Amber's condition deteriorated quickly. In a rare occurrence, it was discovered her body had not expelled all the fetal tissue and an infection was spreading. Official of her case says Amber should have received a life-saving D&C, but doctors waited 20 hours before deciding to take her to surgery. Amber's blood pressure had taken a dive. Her organs had started failing. In the operating room, her heart stopped. On the way to surgery, Amber's last words to her mother were, "Promise me you'll take care of my son." Amber's mother, Shanette, and older sisters CJ and Andrika are here, and they wanted to be here tonight for the first time. Ms. Shanette, what do you want us to know about Amber's story?
Initially, I did not want the public to know my pain. I wanted to go through in silence, but I realized that it was selfish. I want y'all to know Amber was not a statistic by a family, a strong family, and we would have done whatever to get my baby, our baby, the help that she needed. When ProPublica came to my home, I pushed them away. No, but Kavitha, she was persistent. She said, it was something that you needed to know. You have to hear me. Women around the world, people around the world need to know that this was preventable. 2 years later, after speaking with my daughters, because I lost strength, I lost hope, looking at a mother that is broken. Mm-hmm. The worst pain ever that a mother, that a parent could ever feel. Her father and myself and the family, you're looking at it.
Well, we appreciate so deeply you being here. And we're all watching you hear that tape and those words. We know how re-traumatizing that strength it takes for you to be here to tell your story. And we deeply appreciate it. And I have to ask you, as her sisters, how are you coping? And what does knowing that this could have been prevented, how does that sit with you? How do you cope with that on a daily basis?
I mean, it's heartbreaking. You know, that was my baby sister. I loved my baby sister, you know. I'm disappointed. I feel guilty. I wish I could have helped her, you know, because she was suffering. Mm-hmm. And we had no idea. We trusted them to take care of her, you know. Mm-hmm. And they just let her die because of some stupid abortion ban. They treated her like she was just another number. Mm-hmm. They didn't care for her as if, you know, she was their daughter or their, you know, granddaughter. Yeah. You know, and she's not here. She'll never come back.
Yeah. Andrika, what do you want to say?
I want to say it's heartening
that my sister was allowed to suffer for 20 hours. She suffered. It was nothing that we could do to help her. We trusted the healthcare professionals to do their job and save her, but they failed her.
Well, I think the most powerful thing that you've said here, there is not a statistic. She had a life. She was loved by her sisters, loved by her family, loved by those who knew her, and she's not just a statistic. And we are happy to speak her name tonight in this room, talking about what this country needs in terms of reproductive rights and freedom. What do you want to say, Madam Vice President?
I'm just so sorry. And the courage you all have shown is extraordinary, because also you just learned about how it is that she died. And
they just recently learned, yes.
How?
Yeah.
And Amber's mom shared with me that the word over and over again in her mind is preventable.
Yeah.
That word keeps coming to her.
Mm-hmm.
And this story is a story that is sadly not the only story of what has been happening since these bans have taken place. And, just to step back in terms of how we got here, the former president chose the Supreme Court with the intention that they would overdo the protections of Roe v. Wade. Mm-hmm. And they did as he intended, and in state after state, including yours, these abortion bans have been passed that criminalize healthcare providers. In a couple of states, prison for life, Oprah. Prison for life in a couple of states for a doctor or a nurse who provides health care. And so
even when the mother's life is in danger.
But see, here's the problem with that. So is she on death's door before you actually decide to give her help?
Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. That you've got to prove you're on death's door.
Like literally a doctor or a nurse has to say, she might die any minute, better give her now care. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise I might go to prison for life in some cases. Mm. We're doing in terms of saying that certain people who are in these state houses, and then starting with the former president of the United States, think they're in a better position than a doctor or a nurse to determine when their patient needs medical care. This literally, and the fact that among everything that is wrong with these bans and what has happened in terms of the overturning of Roe v. Wade, it's a healthcare crisis. It's a healthcare crisis that affects the patient and the profession. And going back to Hadley's story, and Hadley, you've been so remarkable in telling your story and being so strong in the way you do it. And both of these stories really, I mean, the courage for it out of pain, for you to tell these stories to other people is just extraordinary. And Hadley, you've been so remarkable. You know, Oprah, I don't know if you know this, but when I was in high school, I learned that my best friend was being molested by her stepfather.
Yes, we heard that story on the DNC.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
you had the courage then to go to her and say, you've got to come to our house.
Mother, she came to stay with us. And the idea that these same legislators who would be saying, criminalize healthcare providers are also saying that after a person's body has been violated, that they have no right to make a decision about what happens to their body next? That's immoral.
Yeah. I think it's not just immoral. Here's what I want to say. I just don't believe that those legislators, that the government has a right to be in your womb. They have no your womb with decisions about your womb.
And one does not have to abandon their faith.
Right.
Or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not know what to do.
Absolutely.
Right? If she chooses, she will talk with her priest, her pastor, her rabbi, her imam, but not the government telling her what's in her best interest.
Well, this is a long healing process for this family. And we thank you, and we hope that by being amongst people who heard you and heard your daughter will be meaningful you in this journey to healing. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, I want to also... Thank you. I want to hear from Star Walker, who is a campaign engagement organizer in Milwaukee, one of my hometowns, Milwaukee. Hi, Star. What's going on in Wisconsin?
Hi, Oprah. Vice President. We are fired up here in Wisconsin. I'm an engagement organizer, so I'm focused within their personal networks. As friends, family, teammates. Yeah, and by empowering people to leverage their relationships, we amplify their voices and deliver progress. We're fired up, but we also know it's a razor-thin race. So just like it's won by a field margin, it's on us to roll up our sleeves and do the work. Let's make phone calls and knock on doors. Go to go.kamalaharris.com to join this people-powered movement. That way, when we look back, we won't just be remembering how we felt, we'll be remembering what we did.
Woo! I love that. I love that. Y'all, I love that. That's a big takeaway, because we're all feeling really good right now, but it matters is what are we going to do? Absolutely. What are we going to do? Thank you so much, Star. I see somebody else on the screen, Julia Roberts. Hi, Julia. Hi. Hi. I heard you were so excited you wanted to be here tonight. Why?
Well, first of all, Oprah, thank you for hosting this, because I guess if I started a voting club, it would be conversationalists for Kamala.
Yes.
Because to talk, to listen, to be heard, to have this back and forth is so unique. Campaign to beautiful, wonderful Kamala Harris, who I've had the good fortune of knowing for many years. And I am a mother of 2 kids. This is their first chance to vote in an election, and I couldn't be more excited for them to have the legacy to say that their first vote they ever cast for president was for you. I have just saying that out loud.
Are you all going to the polls together? Are you organizing a party? Are the Motors having a poll party? What's happening?
I wish we were all going together. In fact, you know, they are in college, so we will be separated on the great day, but in spirit united always for what we believe in and what we, you know, I feel so much about being Americans united for something, but this has become such a global representation of our country and what we stand for. And I get to travel internationally a lot. And I want people to say, oh, you're American? And not, oh, how's it going over there? You know? So I want to get back to that space.
Exactly. Thank you, Julia. Exactly. Thank you. And hey, there's Tracy Ellis Ross coming up there. Tracy, now listen, if anybody should have a voting party, I think it should be at your house. Great parties, girl.
I just want to say hi. Hello, Madam Vice President. It's just an honor. I actually have never met you, which is crazy. And hi, Oprah. Wait, what did I miss?
We just saw each other today. Okay. Oh, hi, Tracy. Hi.
Hi, Oprah. How you doing?
Good. Yeah. This is exciting, though, isn't it? Isn't it exciting?
It's exciting. It's exciting because I believe in democracy. I believe in the future of our country, in reproductive freedom, bodily autonomy, women leading. I believe in decency. The idea of leading with joy and kindness has always been in my DNA, and I'm here both for the seriousness of this election, which it is being handled. It is stunning. And then I also really want to remind everybody, it hasn't been mentioned, but voting up and down the ballot is incredibly important. Your freedom and your daily life are all the way up and down that ballot. People are policy. We need the right people in all areas, all positions. And then I would like to say to you two women, thank you for what you represent, because as a 52-year-old childless woman, I want to say to the people who think that a woman's worth is measured in her baby count, I mean, shout out to all the amazing mothers, but the childless women have been mothering the world and elevating culture as aunties, godmothers, teachers, mentors, sisters, and friends, and the list goes on, and you do not need to push out a baby to help push humanity forward.
Amen to that. Thank you so much, Tracy Ellis Ross. Thank you so much. So another important issue this election is, of course, our safety. And just 2 weeks ago, our country experienced yet another horrific school shooting. Watch this.
30 a.m. at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. The school is recognizing my 10-year-old daughter, Lexi, for receiving all A's. 30 minutes later, a gunman murders her, 18 classmates and 2 teachers.
In the last 25 years, there have been 417 school shootings in the United States, and more than 383,000 students have experienced gun violence while at school.
More children and adolescents are killed by guns each year than anything else nationwide.
Just 2 weeks ago, Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia, became the latest area to face every parent's worst nightmare.
Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, the deadly high school shooting, 2 students and 2 teachers killed. Police and parents racing to the scene outside Atlanta.
Oh my goodness. There is a shooting at my granddaughter's school.
We had to drag our teacher's body into the class. Last breath.
We live in a country where 383,000 children have been exposed to gun violence. Now just sit with that number for a second. It's a number until it's your child. This is not normal, y'all.
Yep.
This is not normal, and this is not right. Other people in other countries do not have this issue. We, Americans, we have to do better. We have to do better. We cannot continue to just settle for our thoughts and prayers. Lives are being destroyed. 15-year-old and her parents, Doug and Marilda, are here, and Natalie, we are so sorry to know that you two have been added to that number because you were in algebra class when you were shot twice by a 14-year-old fellow student. We're so glad that you lived to tell your story. And so how are you tonight?
Well, before that thing, the video, I was very happy. I still am very happy to be here and to tell my story and what happened, because it was a terrible thing, and it should not have. What's it called?
Where were you shot? Where were you physically shot?
Right here on my shoulder, and then here. Right wrist.
I was saying that 383,000 students in our country, the United States of America, have been exposed to violence. that same scene that you experienced in your school. Had you all been having, drills or preparation for what should happen should there be a shooting?
I've had intruder drills and fire drills and stuff. Old schools, we've had a fire drill at Appalachia, but it was the first 2 months of the school year. We hadn't had an intruder drill yet, so we weren't even completely sure where to go in the classroom. We all I remember being huddled.
So I was watching your mother. It was coming on. It's still very much PTSD, very much traumatic. You're still reliving it. And how has it been for you? How were you notified that there was a shooting at the school?
I was notified by a friend. She called me. I was at work. And she called me. Do you know about the shooting? With the school that she goes to, the Appalachia. I said, no, I don't. And then she said there was a shooting at the Appalachia High School. My heart just dropped. My heart just got so heavy, and I could not stop. I had to leave. I told my coworkers I gotta go. And the first thing I did is drop my knee on the floor and just start praying. I prayed for about 30 minutes from my work all the way to the school. I didn't get to the school on my car. I had to leave my car at a gas station about 2.5, 3 miles. And I walked on foot and I ran because my heart was so heavy. I couldn't get to touch my daughter.
And I hear you have a message for people in power regarding guns now.
I do. I want to finish that story because no parent should go through this. I want to just finish what, you do not know what feels until it's you. Yes. All those numbers that you show on the TV, a lot of people there here are mothers. What are we doing about this? What are we doing? Let's make sure that everybody listens. Let's make sure that everybody hears it. The whole world needs to hear that we women that have our children, we have a job. That job is to protect our children, protect our nation. That job is to protect our country. We cannot leave. We cannot let that go on. We have to stop it. Where I was asking earlier, where are those people? All the shooting, where are they? They needed to make a noise. I'm ready to make a noise about this, and I'm ready to stop it. Because no one knows what feels when you can't find your child, when you call her just not answering. And when I went through it, it's just me that knows it. And I'm so sorry for those that lost the child that actually died. I can actually hug my child. My child is here, and I gave all this praise to the Lord. Our Father in heaven saved my child. But the other two mothers, they lost their kids, and the other teachers that died, those people are suffering like I'm suffering. I'm very sorry for them. The people, their loved ones.
And you have a message for the people in power.
Yes, the people in power. Let's make it a change. Let's make it happen. Let's make, let's just not hear about this. Who wants to just hear about this? We gotta change it. We gotta make it happen.
And Doug, I hear you're not a registered Democrat, but you now say it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on when it comes to this issue. What change do you want to see now that did your family?
Common sense. I think the first step would just be metal detectors in schools. Make a budget, make a plan, and the people that say, "Well, we've never really done stuff like that before," I don't care. They didn't have metal detectors at airports at one time. They didn't have metal detectors at courthouses. I think that if a child knew that he would get caught, the likelihood of him trying would be, there may be another target, but it wouldn't be schools being hardened,
Yeah. I think that Doug has said it so eloquently, which is we just need to apply common sense. And look, I think for far too long on the issue of gun violence, some people have been pushing a really false choice to suggest you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away. I'm in favor of the Second Amendment, and I'm in favor of assault weapons bans, universal background, red flag laws. And these are just common sense. These are just common sense.
I thought it was so powerful at the convention when you said you have guns. No, at the debate.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that. My staff will deal with that later.
But you have been a gun owner for a while.
Yes, I have.
Yes.
But here's my point, Oprah, is that I'm not trying to take everyone's guns away. I believe in the Second Amendment, but we have to agree that, look, I did last fall a college tour with college-age young people, so I also did trade schools. And packed audience every time in their auditorium, and I would ask, please raise your hand if at any point between kindergarten and 12th grade you had to endure an active shooter drill. Almost every hand went up. It was bone-chilling.
Yeah, this is the way our kids are living. Yeah.
And think about it. You know, I grew up, we had fire drills only. Well, I grew up in California. We also had earthquake drills. But the fact that our children are sitting in a classroom where they should be fulfilling their God-given potential and exploring the wonders of the world, and brain realizes somebody could bust through that classroom door with a weapon, with an assault weapon. And let's all agree that the trauma, so many children, even those who have not directly experienced the tragedy.
Just being in the environment.
I cannot tell you the number of young people who, I mean, our kids had active shooter drills. They're concerned that there might be somebody who would kill them while they are at school. This is not the civil society, and it doesn't have to be this way. It does not have to be this way. But we need to have the courage to act. I mean, look, my opponent, when he was told and knew about a shooting of a young girl, you know what he said? Get over it. Get over it. No, we're not getting over it. No, and to the point, everyone should have a sense of collective responsibility for the children of our community.
Yes.
And understand their right to live and be safe. I have personally prosecuted homicide cases. I've seen autopsies. I've seen what these weapons do to the human body. And we've got to agree that, in particular when we're talking about something like an assault weapon, it's literally designed to be a tool of war. It has no place on the streets of a civil society. It's designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly. And there are things we can do. I mean, thankfully, over the last 3 years, we've done some. But it is common sense.
It just seems like common sense we would see this.
I
think that the majority of Americans agree with you that we do not want assault weapons in the hands of children and other people who have no business with those types of weapons.
Right.
We know this is true. Your family for being here. And good luck in that marching band this year. I hear you're going to go out for the marching band still.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, it's a sad moment for us, but I wanted to make sure that, we came because we needed to be heard. And we needed to, change has to be made, and we're ready to fight for this.
Thank you. Okay, we want to hear what's going on in another battleground state. Tracy is a regional organizing director in Nevada. Tracy, tell us how things are for you. Hi.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tracy Lee, a regional organizing director in Nevada. I am the silver state this year because there's so much on the line, from healthcare to lowering costs These issues impact all of us. My team and I have been building relationships with voters across this state because here in Nevada, we know that enthusiasm alone does not win campaigns. Organizing does. So all of you watching tonight can become organizers, whether you talk to your sister, a roommate, or a grandparent about why you're so excited to vote for Vice President Harris. You are organizing and energizing other supporters. Please go to go.kamalaharris.com to find ways to help and enjoy the rest of tonight's event, and let's get to work.
Let's get to work. Let's do something. Meryl Streep, hello. You and I. Hi, Meryl Streep. You and I have talked about this moment. Hi. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about the momentum?
Oh, man. This has been overwhelming to have the privilege to sit in and listen to the testimony of the people here. Hello, President Harris.
Not yet. "47 days.
47 days, yes.
From my mouth to God's ear. And hello, Oprah. I think the word of the day has been preventable. Preventable. All of this. The surround of hatred and venom and toxicity and encouraging some segment of Americans to hate other segment of Americans. It's just crazy. And nobody wants it. We're done.
That's right.
We're done with it. I wanted to ask you, I can't believe I had this opportunity. I never will again. If I have a little Debbie Downer moment, because actually, I think you're going to win. I'm sure you're going to win. I think, yeah. But what happens when you win and he doesn't accept it? And you know that there's going to be this long slog of shenanigans. And I'm wondering how we get to that moment, how we preserve certification on January 6th. Because if it doesn't happen, it'll be maybe thrown back to the legislatures of the states. And I've been working with state government citizens campaign, which is sgcamerica.com. They're great. They're doing the unglamorous down ballot work of promoting those candidates, because I'm worried about it, and I wonder if we're ready for January 7th, 8th, 9th, and what happens? What happens?
So we will be ready, but just taking a step back, and thank you, Marilyn, for the gift that you give. You do your talent, your creativity. Thank you for being here. One of the things that I have realized in the course of our campaign is that more realize who voted for Trump before have decided January 6th was just a bridge too far. When we reflect and think about what January 6th was, where the President of the United States, sitting in the Oval Office, incited a mob, a violent mob, to attack the United States Capitol, such that 140 law enforcement officers were injured, some were killed. To try and upend a free where the American people voted, that was a bridge too far for a lot of people. And we have sadly now seen how far he could go. And I think there is absolutely no tolerance whatsoever for the vast majority of Americans for that. And they've seen the lies. They understand, for example, almost every court case, I think every court case where he's challenged an election, he lost. I said on the debate stage, look, because he's having the fact that 81 million people fired him, right? But, so there is that it really was a bridge too far for so many people that they are not willing to repeat. But the other piece of it is the lawyers are working. It's very important that we all speak to our friends and our neighbors about misinformation and help them now see how it occurs, where it is occurring. It is important that we stand up for the integrity of and people who are working on election day, and that we also, and this is critically important, that we ask people to be alert about mis and disinformation, and we ask them, do not be afraid to vote. Because I think there is also something quite insidious about these attacks on the electorate in these various forms that are intended to convince people that their vote won't matter. And in that way, there's a little bit of reverse psychology going on here, and let's just make sure nobody falls for it. Your vote does matter, and we cannot let anyone ever take action. We can never let anybody silence us. And when we get those votes out, starting soon, early voting is already going to start this week, I think, through November 5th, and let's make sure everyone votes, and we are going to have a good election day. We're going to fight for the integrity of the people's voice and for our democracy. And, you know, I'll just mention earlier, a couple of folks talked about what this means in terms of the world. You know, as Vice President, I've met over 150 world leaders, presidents, prime ministers, chancellors, and kings. And the thing about representing the United States is when we walk in those rooms around the world, we have historically and traditionally been able to walk in those rooms, chin up, shoulders back, with the self-appointed and earned authority to talk about the importance of democracies. People around the world are watching right now. Because you see, the thing about walking into a room and being a role model is people watch what you do to see if it lines up with what you say. And in that way, the consequences of this election are directly going to impact the American people and people around the world. That's what we're fighting for, and those are the stakes. We're going to win because we know what we're fighting for, because we know what we stand for.
Thank you, Meryl. So, thank you, Meryl. What is on your heart to say to the American people as we have 47 days until November 5th? What's on your heart? To say to particularly those people who are still undecided, or maybe or on the fence still?
We love our country. I love our country. I know we all do. That's why everybody's here right now. We love our country. We take pride in the privilege of being American. And this is a moment where we must come together as Americans, understanding we have so much more in common than what separates us. Let's come together with the character that we are so proud of about who we are, which is we are an optimistic people. We are an optimistic people. Americans, by character, are people who have dreams and ambitions and aspirations. We believe in what is possible. We believe in what can be. We believe in fighting for that. That's how we came into being. Because the people before us understood that one of the greatest expressions for the love of our country, one of the greatest expressions of patriotism, is to fight for the ideals of who we are, which includes freedom to make decisions about your own body, freedom to be safe from gun violence, freedom freedom to be who you are and just be, to love who you love openly and with pride, freedom to just be. And that's who we are. We believe in all that. And so this is a moment where we stand knowing what we are fighting for. We're not fighting against. It's what we're fighting for.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Vice President. Thank you. And I want to say, thank you, Madam Vice President. I want to say, thank you, Joe Taker. Thank you, Joe Taker. Who started the gatherings on Zoom and all of the grassroots. Now, each of you listening tonight, you become your own grassroots organization to go forward and do something, coming together for the largest Zoom call we've all ever had. Thank you so much. And I just want to say, for all of you watching who are still on the fence, you're in the middle, you're independent as I am, or whether you're just still don't know what you're going to do. This is the moment for all decent people, all caring people who want the best for yourself and you want the best for other people. This is the moment for people who are tired of all of the bickering and all of the name calling, people who are exhausted by the craziness. Yeah. Stories and the conspiracies. This is the moment. You want to get on with your life because you know that we can do better and that we deserve better. You know this. I know you know this. I know you feel this. I know this is what you're saying amongst yourselves. It's in all the conversations that we're having, that you're having. And we're better than this. We're better. And we want to create a world where our children will be safe in school again. And as my friend and mentor Maya Angelou always said, when you know better, you got to do better. Thank you. So let's do better and vote for Kamala Harris. Thank you to all of our special guests. Thank you for sharing your stories, for being here, Ms. Shanat. Vice President Harris, we thank you. We hope you keep fighting for us and the country we deserve to have. Thank you so much. To find out more about how you can register or where you can vote, go to iwillvote.com. Good night, everybody. Thank you on Zoom. Thank you.
I'ma keep on running 'cause the winner don't quit on themselves.